More Kaylee clips.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, May 28, 2020. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1246.
This is No Agenda.
Enjoying the magic numbers and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we have a message to the looters and rioters in Minnesota. Social distancing, people. Social distancing. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yeah, funny, the one thing I did not hear anyone say, covering the riots. Social distancing. Please.
Well, they had this thing that was funny was there was an MSNBC report. I didn't clip it because it's too many mumbling. It's all mumbling in the background, but they put subtitles on it. Katie Turs with one of her correspondents on her show, whatever it is, and the reporters out there with this big mask.
Oh, wait! I have the clip.
Oh, you do? Okay, play this. Yeah. It's hilarious.
But I want to come back to masks a little bit later, but I'll play this for you. Yeah, this is Katie Tur, and so where's this guy? I think he's in Florida somewhere, maybe?
Yeah, they're in Florida, and everyone's partying on the beach.
Right, and that, of course, is outrageous. And then he actually, the on-the-ground reporter with the mask on, looks over, says, "Oh, look, there's someone without a mask." And that guy is filming him and says...
So the people there are just not worried about it, Cal? Are they not worried about their own personal safety?
I haven't met anybody who is. I met some folks actually from Lake Geneva who lived in the area. They were staying a few miles outside of town where I were, and they said they're worried about it. They're worried about that second spike. They're worried about folks coming in from Chicago. But they'll quickly add at the same time, this is a place that relies on that business. I think people here want a little bit more funding when it comes to these programs so that they could stay closed. But again, I think people felt like the Supreme Court made the decision here in Wisconsin that it was time to open up. But you can see, here, just around. Nobody's wearing them. Nobody's... cameraman. There you go, including the cameraman. Yeah. Katie. Exactly.
Striking images. Cal Perry. Cal, thank you very much.
I loved her response the most. Striking images, yes. After the guy literally is standing there looking like a doofus for calling out the people without a mask, and his camera crew doesn't have one either.
Yeah, the guy says, the passerby says, "Hey, and neither does the cameraman." And the guy says, "The cameraman." Yeah. He said, "Or the crew." Apparently, the guy couldn't go out and do a two-man or anything like that. He had a whole crew with him with lights, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I want to get to that, but I have a couple things I want to discuss first. But before anything, we have to talk about the wave of nerd disappointment that just flushed over the entire globe yesterday. Did you notice any of that?
No.
Oh,
I was watching the live feed of the looting. It was quite interesting, very entertaining.
Well, while you were watching that, other people were watching this, and sadly...
Well, Jake, I'm sad to deliver the news that today's launch has officially been scrubbed due to weather. Just 16 minutes and 23 seconds before the scheduled liftoff at 4:33 Eastern Time here at Kennedy Space Center. Now, a backup window is planned for May 30th, that Saturday, and a backup to the backup because...
A backup and a backup to that backup and a backup to the backup to the backup.
Because these weather situations
you just
and launches,
wanted to play that clip.
No, I'd actually forgotten about that part. Had nothing to do with it. No, what I wanted to say was there's a couple things that were going on with this launch, and I was reminded yesterday by a very good friend of the show who said, he says he reminds me every 2 years what 33 stands for, apparently, and I keep forgetting, apparently. He says the number 33 goes back to the Crusades and the Knights Templar, which is, the precursor to the Masons and the Illuminati, etc. And of course, 33 throughout history has been used many times. But since, when were the Crusades? 1,000 years ago? Something like that?
I don't have
long time.
At the top of my head.
Yeah, well, you should. Long time ago.
It's not really, I don't think it was that long ago.
Maybe 700 years.
10 years ago. It was a couple years ago.
A couple, give or take a few hundred. 33 meant abort mission. And we have to remember this. That's one meaning. There could be many others, but the 33 was code for aborting the mission. Now, if you look at the SpaceX, what was the launch time? 4:33 p.m. Come on, people. No wonder it was going to be aborted.
Well, I said it was going to be aborted last Tuesday when I was on the Horowitz show.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear. Why did you think it was going to be aborted? What was your?
Because the weather
thesis?
conditions there were ridiculous, and the whole thing seemed like it was didn't want to really do it.
Well, I think something else happened. Honestly, looks to me. Oh, let me tell you. So for a while now, I've been following. There's a couple guys in New Jersey, and they are shooting video on their phones of aircraft that are commercial size aircraft, but they're not marked commercial. They're kind of bland, not marked military either. And they appear, I say specifically, they appear to be just not even hovering, but just standing, just completely still in the air. And they can move forward, backwards, sideways, and they can shoot off. And I think, considering Trump's love for Elon Musk, his strange connection to Nikola Tesla through his uncle at MIT, and just the fact that the president was there. He even, he went there. The Air Force One landed.
Did go. That was interesting.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And he said before, hey, Elon's a good guy. We got to protect him, even though he has every reason not to like Elon. Electric cars, arrogant billionaire. That often rubs with other arrogant billionaires. But no, he loves Elon. So I think, just even looking at the way those damn rockets operate and come back down and land on the pad, I think they've given him the anti-gravity technology. No one else has been able to do this privately. Richard Branson just had a failed launch. And what Elon didn't take into account is when you wind up the anti-gravity technology for this big blast that you have to have covered by rockets, and that's just smokescreen, you can create weather patterns. It's magnetic energy. So I think that he has to figure that out.
Well, it's not magnetic at all. It's gravitational. It's 100%. There's no magnetism involved.
But you don't know how it's created. And the only reason I can say this is a possible theory is because of something you said years ago. You told me about the guy who invented the semiconductor technology, who did that one. You have to tell the story again. He did that one thing, and then he went away, never invented anything again. What was that story?
Shockley.
Tell me.
Well, I was good friends with George Morrow, who worked at Shockley Labs in the early days.
Uh-huh.
And Shockley was one of the co-inventors of the transistor and went off to become a semiconductor manufacturer in Silicon Valley. And he was the progenitor of Fairchild and Intel and everything that came afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Motorola Semiconductors probably part of that. So they were making there was a transistor company. They're making transistors, and the word around the office, and Shockley is a very interesting character anyway. The word around the office, according to George, amongst all the engineers, was, has Shockley lost it? Because he apparently was unable to invent anything, let alone, anything further than this one transistor that they were manufacturing at Shockley Labs. And Fairchild kind of took over the business from there. And there's a couple of guys who quit Shockley and went to start Fairchild. And then from there, the guys who worked at Fairchild quit there to start Intel. And then another side story was that Fairchild was so irritated when Gordon Moore and Noyce, and maybe it was a third guy. It wasn't Andy Grove, by the way, it was somebody else. But Noyce and Moore quit Fairchild to start Intel because they came up with this. They worked on this idea of integrating a bunch of transistors. Yeah. And Fairchild was going to sue Intel, and as soon as Shockley got word of that, he said that if Fairchild sues Intel, he's suing Fairchild. And he has the upper hand on the whole thing. So Fairchild dropped the idea of suing Intel, and the rest is history.
And at the time, I think when you told this story, you concluded that there was some theories that he
there was a number of theories that the entire transistor was really a reverse engineered
from alien stuff,
spacecraft.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the way Trump fawns over him and a lot of things, and the way his rockets land, it still just bugs the hell out of me.
There was this one guy who doesn't come up a lot, who supposedly worked at Area 51 and some of the real part, which isn't Area 51 at all. And this guy's been around for a while. He doesn't give speeches. He doesn't give talks. He doesn't even like to discuss it.
Right.
But he has discussed it in great detail. And I was watching a recent thing where one of these body language guys was watching his interview, and I think it was with Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Rogan interviewed this character, and he went on about and described all these anti-gravitational.
Was it one of those To the Star Academy guys that it was on Rogan? One of those entertainment guys?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was just this. I got to get the guy's name. It's just very forgettable, and he never shows up a lot. But he apparently has all the drawings and the goods. He's got
Bob Lazar. Was that his name? Bob Lazar.
Yes, Bob Lazar.
Okay. Exactly.
And good work, chat room.
Troll room, not chat. There's no chat going on.
So Lazar is on there describing this, and he talks about these anti-gravity devices. And I've been hearing about these anti-gravity devices since – I remember one time in the 1980s, this one guy's a techie of some sort. He was very kind of famous in the Valley, and then he's talking to me one day. He says, the anti-gravity, they're going to release it any minute. It's good to go. And,
good to go. I'm ready.
And that guy disappeared off the face of the earth.
After he spoke with you.
And then there's another guy that we had this guy Firmage who was like very famous, kind of a guy who saw flying saucers or aliens, and he said the same thing. I've been hearing this. In fact, I heard it just recently. There's all this talk about, and it never happens. Where is this device?
Well, who knows? I mean, it never happened that we locked the entire country. It never happened that we locked the entire globe down either. So even in your lifetime, crazy.
Locking the globe down was interesting.
Well, and I spoke to the dog on Tuesday as promised.
Oh yes,
yeah. Did you hear it?
This is what I was supposed to tease you on this. It wasn't something we agreed on, but I was going to do it. I said, what did the dog have to say?
Well, I had a nice chat with the dog, who I have not spoken to in, I think, 20...
Tell people who this dog is.
Okay, right. So the dog is, that's our show name for him. His real name is Maurice de Hond. He's a Dutch guy, and the last name de Hond means the dog, literally translated. And he's a social geographer and really a data scientist. He does all the political polling for decades. I grew up watching. He's a little bit older than me. He's older than both of us. He's 72. But he sounds very fit and spry. And so he's been a pollster.
Spry.
Yeah, spry. He's been a pollster. But every elections he shows up and all kinds. He's done market research. He was one of the early guys on that. He was into computers really early on. My dad worked with him for many years. In direct marketing. So and he's a certified guru, and he's always on TV when there's something about statistics or numbers. It really doesn't matter what it is. Politics, obviously, but anything that's going on, they usually call him. So they called him, and he said, "Yeah, I got some stuff going. I got some ideas." And after telling the ideas twice, he was cut off. They brought in the virologist, and he was never asked back again. And which is weird for him because he is Mr. Mainstream. So he went full on into podcasts. Anything he could find was getting taken down and censored on YouTube. And that's when I found out. I said, well, let's see what Maurice has to say. And if you enjoy very much how sometimes I talk here and we speak at the Dutch, you will love this interview. It is about an hour and a half, and it's great. It's crazy great. So that would only be by choice. So I'm only going to play about 2.5 minutes just to give you his theory. And then I can expand on, because it's way too long to clip. So this is basically what he discovered, and I will tell you what the implications of that are.
Basically, I'm a social geographer, and from day one, I learned how to program a computer in 1965 when I was 18 years old. So I was always in big data, even before the word existed. And as a geographer, the only thing what I know something of is data analysis of patterns, geographical patterns, and try to understand why they happen. So from day one, I tried to see what kind of pattern I could see with this virus spreading all over the world. And I saw from day one some very interesting patterns. And at the first, let's say, between January and beginning of March, basically the only places where you could see an outburst of the virus was in the areas of the world north of 30 degrees north and and you could see that those are areas where the temperature in the winter is somewhere between, let's say, 40 Fahrenheit until 60 Fahrenheit, and the level of humidity is low. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is that is especially the temperatures where you also see that influenza happens. Then you can see that in the wintertime there is influenza. It's no influenza in the summer. The behavior of the spread of the virus exactly is influenza. I mean, the disease is different, but the spread all over the world is exactly like influenza happens, but with one big difference. If you see, for example, in 2017, 2018 in the Netherlands, there was a big outbreak of influenza. Still, that was only 20-25% of the population, because a big part of the population is already immune for a new influenza, because maybe 30 years ago or 20 years ago, that flavor of the year was already before there, so in your blood is a kind of defense. Mm-hmm. With corona, there is no defense because nobody has immunity. So you see basically a very clean sheet. Everybody could be infected, almost everybody. So the pattern you see is for a geographer also an easy pattern, because I don't have to see inside the blood of a person if he was maybe immune, because nobody is immune.
Right.
And then you see the patterns much more clear than if you see influenza in a normal year.
So, what this means, and this is the part he can't back up, is that the virus, and he believes this is the same for influenza, is spread through aerosol and not surfaces, not droplets, and that the idea of social distancing and masking is only necessary when you have the environment which is cool and very low humidity. And he went through, in the hour and a half, he went through example after example around the globe, why all of a sudden an outbreak would occur. And he looked at the weather patterns. He looked at different patterns. 6 weeks ago, apparently, he predicted that it would start spreading in Brazil. And at the time, Brazil had nothing going on. And he did that.
Wait. So does he explain now? Why would it have to be low humidity? It seems to me.
Okay.
Well, you're going to explain this because I'm going to explain why this concerns me.
Okay.
When you have low humidity, anything that is vaporized will actually dissipate, as opposed to stay in suspension in the air. With high humidity, because with high humidity, nothing really evaporates; it just kind of sits there. So if you had coughed or you gave some aerosol,
I can only
into
tell
a high humidity environment, it would stick around longer.
Droplets, yes. I can only tell you what he's saying, and what he says, it's aerosol. No one believes this, by the way. There's no one believes that it is spread through aerosol, and I don't know why they're not looking into it. But if it's spread through aerosol for whatever reason, if you have low humidity and cool temperature, it actually the actual aerosol does linger in the air. But it's very easy to fly away if you have proper ventilation, and that's his thesis. He says, look at all the places where there was no proper ventilation, where the windows were closed. He said the worst thing people can do is get on the bus now with the windows closed and your mask on, because it's just, there's no air to circulate it away. But he literally looked at all of, he said, what is the ideal environment for the spread, the aerosolized spread of this virus? Meatpacking plants. Cool, very low humidity, and people reasonably close together. And he had example after example after example, which could also be very valuable if this applies to influenza. Because ultimately, the same amount of people die. I agree, although some disagree, I agree with his thesis that no one had this, so probably there was no one who would not get it because they were immune. So I like the way he approached the data and the numbers. And his bottom line is we need ventilation. You can go anywhere you want, a restaurant, to work, as long as there's adequate ventilation. So you can have someone sick in your house, as long as they're in a room that has a window open. so fresh air can come in and blow it around. And it's very unlikely that you'll get enough viral load in, and also, of course, you want to change the temperature and the humidity, etc. And he just had like 10 examples that they take a long time for him to get through. But I thought there was something there.
People can listen.
Yeah.
I still have this issue with the humidity definition and your definition of what's an aerosol. I'm going to read the definition.
I can only tell you, it's not my definition, so I don't have a lot to argue with.
Oh, well, an aerosol is a suspension of fine solid particles or liquid droplets.
Yeah, but he said specifically it's not the droplets. He says it's much finer than that. It's aerosolized and it floats around. That's what he says.
Well, if it still has to be it's still the liquid. It's got to be in a liquid form, and in a low humidity environment, that would dissipate.
I'm just telling you what he said. I do not know if that dissipates in a low humidity environment. You say that, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, spray some water in a low humidity environment and see what you get. Okay. Well, it doesn't. I guess.
Well, no, you have an argument against it, and I don't know if that's true what you're saying. I don't know if it's true what he's saying. I have no idea.
I'd have to talk to him about it.
Well, maybe if you listen to the interview, which is why I did it.
Yeah. maybe if I listen to the interview.
Maybe. But before we'll move away from the dog.
And you took the best part from the interview. Is that what you're telling us?
It's impossible to play a clip other than this, because it takes every example is 18 minutes, and you can't cut stuff
and then
out.
You wonder why he's not getting on the air. Maybe he's getting long-winded in his old age. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. What is apparent to me, though, is that there's absolutely no one who has any correct answers. Everybody is full of shit. They won't answer the questions, and they won't let anyone else on the air. And this Sunday, Dr. Birx, Admiral Commander Ambassador Birx, went on the Fox News Sunday show with Chris Wallace, and he asked her, and oh, by the way, you have to take a look at what she looks like. She has a new hairdo. She was wearing a red blouse with a Chanel-colored scarf, she looks like a clown, like an MK Ultra clown meant to trigger you into some childhood memory and to believe everything she says. Her hair, you have to look at a picture. Her head looks like a dickhead, literally a dickhead. It's unbelievable what she's done to it. And again, that may have some.
What's your first name again?
Deborah. That may have some kind of
B-I-R.
No, D-E. Deborah. Deborah.
No, Birx.
Oh, B-I-R-X. B-I-R-X.
Yeah.
Look at this head. Look at that head with the red outfit on. I don't know if they have. You're just looking at screenshots. That's not going to help.
They keep them up to date. Here she is. Okay, you're talking about she had the red blouse and a white scarf.
Yeah, like a Chanel scarf, but her hair is all puffed out now, and look at her head.
Yeah, I'm looking at her head.
What does it look like?
Well, I mean, by pre-suggesting that it looks like a dick.
It does. It's a horrible look. But it was so horrible that I'm suspicious of it. She literally looks like a clown, and I don't know what's going on. But she was asked point blank, that
scarf is out of control.
Yeah, this has got to be some kind of programming. So she's asked point blank, what up with the models, lady? It was 2 million, then it was 200,000, then it was 100,000, then 80,000, then 60,000, now we're 100,000, 150,000. And could you please tell us, why is this happening?
A month ago, you and President Trump were both talking about a total of 60,000 COVID-19 deaths. Take a look.
It looks like we'll be at about a 60,000 mark, which is 40,000 less than the lowest number thought of.
Look at how much the model has changed in just a week. Remember, just a week ago, it was 80,000. Now it's 60,000.
Early this coming week, we're going to reach 100,000 deaths from the coronavirus, and those models that you're citing now talk about close to 150,000 deaths by August. What happened, doctor?
I think a few things are together. So from the beginning, and I think when we had that first briefing, we talked about 1.2 million to 2.4 million and 100,000 to 240,000 people succumbing to this incredibly aggressive virus. Those are the figures that we continue to stand by in this first wave, and really understanding how to prevent future hospitalizations and future deaths is really what we're focused on every single day.
That's not an answer. What the hell was that? Well, we're just focused on those numbers. The question was, how can this happen that it changes? Well, we're just uncharacteristic for the mainstream M5M news. Wallace asked a follow-up question, did not accept the initial answer.
But to press it a little bit, a month ago, you were saying we were going to come down below the low end of the model, which is 100 to 240,000 to 60,000. So my question is, in this last month, did you underestimate the strength of the virus? Did we reopen too soon? Did we reopen without sufficient restrictions?
What I was saying in that briefing that you were talking about is what that current model was showing. There are different models we have been using all along, and really trying to learn primarily not just from models, but understanding what has happened in Spain and Italy and the UK, and really tracking those numbers. We understand that our mortality rates are less than those three countries, and that's really due to the incredible work of our frontline hospital workers. But we understand that these number of infections has led to this level of mortality, and our job now going forward is to do everything we can to prevent additional hospitalizations and additional mortality.
For a scientist, she is ruining any belief in science, and it's insulting. I'm a VJ. Even I understand that you're not answering the question, a question that you killed us with these charts and data, and then you took it away, and now it's like blah. It's not an answer. It's not giving a damn answer. It's really annoying, and the outfit and just all of that is, I get a very bad feeling about what her actual mission is. And of course, we need to move on to masks with the good doctor.
What we have said to people is there's clear scientific evidence now by all the droplet experiments that happen and that others have done to show that a mask does prevent droplets from reaching others. And out of respect for each other, as Americans that care for each other, we need to be wearing masks in public when we cannot social distance. It's really critically important. We have the scientific evidence of how important mask wearing is to prevent those droplets from reaching others.
Nothing about aerosol, by the way, only about droplets. And a different story from several months ago. And she said, now we have conclusive evidence. The science is in. Well, it seems this message is going out far and wide. On CNN, Vin Gupta, who is not related to Sanjay Gupta, but is also a doctor and shit looks a lot like him. Vin and he's a respected doctor, medical professional, telling us exactly what's wrong with not wearing a mask.
Would requiring masks across the board help? Is that feasible?
Craig, I'm going to say this for the benefit of your family. I know you have young kids, for my family, and for all Americans. We should make masks mandatory in public. Just like we ban indoor smoking, because you know what? You shouldn't have to breathe somebody else's secondhand smoke. I shouldn't have to breathe exhaled COVID-19 in somebody's breath. Nobody should. And so we should institute mandatory masks in public when you can't guarantee social distancing. That means retail stores. That means public transportation, workplaces. That's absolutely where we should be headed. It makes no sense why we're not already there. We're encouraging it. People are flouting the rules. A security guard at a retail outlet in Michigan died trying to encourage a customer to wear a mask. They shot him because they didn't like the way in which it was trying to be enforced, that policy. We need to not put the onus on security guards at local outlets to enforce this policy or to encourage Americans to abide by it. It's all in our best interest that we wear masks. The evidence is overwhelming. We just need governors to do their job.
And the governors are doing their job as ordered. Governor Cuomo of New York, during his daily podcast, loved by many, even my family. He's the guiding light. Can't wait to dump Trump. Go Cuomo.
That's been the great riddle in this whole thing. We don't understand it. It's about government this, government that. Forget government. This whole trajectory is decided by people.
Just want you to note, it's not government's fault. It's you fuckers. You stupid people. You're the stupid ones. Forget government. You're doing it.
It's personal behavior. That's all it is. And it's simple. It's wash your hands, it's socially distance, it's use the hand sanitizer, and it is wear the mask. Wear the mask. And this is almost a point of cultural communication.
No kidding.
Wearing a mask is now cool. I believe it's cool. If I could sign an executive order that says wearing a mask is officially cool.
There's nothing stopping him from doing that. He can absolutely write an executive order saying wearing a mask is cool, but he won't do it because it's dumb.
There is a certain amount of informing the public and accepting a new type of standard. Wearing the mask has got to be something you do every day. When you get up, when you walk out of the house, you put the mask on. And I said the other day, New Yorkers want to reinforce it for other New Yorkers. This is cool. You want to encourage people to do this. By the way, they have all sorts of color masks. You don't have to have a boring mask like my mask. I'm a boring guy. They have color masks. They have masks that say things. Some people coordinate their outfit with the color of their mask. And this has to be part of literally who we are and what we do every day. That does not mean when someone doesn't wear a mask, we should be rude to that person or be obnoxious to that person. But
in New York City, what? Really,
this has got to be part of every New Yorker's fashion and design and clothing and outfitting, wearing the mask. It makes a real difference. And if you think that's all talk, answer for me why all the first responders have a lower infection rate than the general population. The only difference is they wore a mask.
No, that's not true at all. There's many differences. But did you hear? It needs to be a fashion accessory. It needs to be part of who you are, part of your daily life. Yeah, I understand why. Because this wearing a mask makes it extremely easy for the authorities to know who is in compliance and who is willing. I see no other reason for it at this point. And I think that...
What if this whole thing was a deep, dark conspiracy to sidetrack facial recognition on a worldwide basis?
Well, Apple already released their update, which includes the COVID tracing and tracking, and it has improved its facial recognition, so it will recognize your face for Face ID unlocking your phone with a mask on. So there's that answer.
Well, I'd like to see if it could do it. If the public, well, maybe.
Now,
but the problem is, I don't believe this could possibly work because there's different kinds of masks you can wear.
Well, I'm not.
The facial recognition is going to be for one kind of mask.
Something else is going on. It's not. I think there is a conspiracy. I don't know if it started as a conspiracy, but it's certainly someone opened up the folder and said, okay, here's how we roll with it. And I have a couple of short clips, all under a minute, from Dr. Vernon Coleman. And he is a professor. It's like MB, CHB, DSC, FRSA. As a lot of letters he has. He's from the United Kingdom. He's an older gentleman.
He's a nutball.
Why?
You ever see anybody with all those crazy things tacked onto their name, anything beyond Ba Ma Fud, which is asking for too much as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
should be just your name, PhD.
I looked
if it's blah, 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 or MD. MD is okay too. But they have all these FRAS and PRQ and GJJ and all these things. This guy, this is a guy you don't trust. But go on.
You're in a mood today, man. It's
when I hear that.
Well, I looked it up. He didn't present himself that way. He didn't say, "Hi, I'm MBCHBDSEFRSA." He didn't do that. I looked up his titles and wrote them down for the show. But okay.
Well, I'd love to hear what they are.
Okay.
Is it asking too much?
It
really?
is. Yeah, it really is. It really is. You prove to me that aerosol won't stick around, and I'll prove to you that he's not a nutball.
I don't have to. That's just physics. It's nothing to me.
Okay. Are you interested in hearing what he has to say?
Yeah, I'm now more than ever.
Governments have been using a range of Orwellian mind control tricks during the coronavirus crisis. The slogans, the clapping and the symbols have been carefully used to enable the authorities to take control of our thinking. I'm grateful to Dr. Colin Barron, a former NHS doctor and eminent hypnotherapist who's the author of the book Practical Hypnotherapy, for pointing out to me just how our minds have been taken over and how we've been very successfully and skillfully manipulated into believing the lies we've been fed. Elected governments, aided by specialist behavioural scientists, have been brainwashing millions into accepting the coronavirus propaganda.
Do I have your interest?
Well, who wouldn't want to listen to more? I mean, I'm reminded of a sign. I didn't post it on my Twitter feed, but there's this guy, COVID-19 is a lie. And I had to take the picture and I blew it way up so I could read the documentation he had underneath. What's he talking about? Anyway,
Okay.
go on.
All right. So he claims that we're being mind controlled. And he, of course, in order to, and again, 10, 15 minutes, this video only pulled a few clips, but I think I pulled some better ones. You'll like these better than the dog clip.
That takes nothing.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
Sorry.
Oh, man. You're the worst.
You should have started with this guy.
No, I didn't want to start with this guy.
Okay.
Let me just get into it. Historical.
Get going. Why are you listening to me?
I don't know. Historical context of mind control as it relates to the coronavirus lockdown and crisis.
Manipulating and tricking the mind is a professional business, and we've been brainwashed, and the brainwashing has been very subtle. We've all been quietly hypnotized and indoctrinated to accept the new mass hysteria generated by governments everywhere. Many people now enjoy the lockdown and they don't want it to end. It enables them to avoid responsibility for their own lives. Do you remember who said, open quotes, "Through clever and constant application of propaganda, people can be made to see paradise as hell and also the other way round, to consider the most wretched life as paradise"? Well, it was Adolf Hitler, who was a master at mass manipulation and the use of subliminal techniques, and it was Hitler who also commented that it was a good fortune for governments that the mass of people do not think.
I never heard those quotes from Hitler. That was new for me. We've heard the other ones, the Goebbels tell a lie. The bigger the lie, the more they believe it, the more you tell it.
It could be bullshit.
Could be. But we'll go to, now he's going to apply this to the coronavirus crisis and picks up on something that I'm kind of kicking myself over. I think we knew it, but maybe it was a long time ago. So how does this idea of mind control work in today's modern environment? Well, it's with slogans and marketing.
Countries around the world have been promoting slogans to persuade their citizens to behave as required. In China, there was a slogan which said, "If you love your parents, lock them up." In Taiwan, people were told, "To visit each other is to kill each other." At first glance, the slogans which are heavily advertised and promoted in the UK seem harmless enough. We all recognise them. Some, such as "We're all in this together," seem fairly innocuous, though we perhaps might be forgiven for adding the rider that we're all in this together, unless we happen to work as advisors to the Prime Minister. The first trio of phrases which were promoted everywhere in the UK were "keep your distance," "wash your hands," "think of others." More recently, new phrases have been added to the repertoire: "stay home," "save lives," "protect the NHS."
Does that remind you of anything? Those three phrases in a row, 3 by 3?
No, I'm sure you're going to tell me what it should have reminded me of, but I'm already annoyed by the fact that we missed on some of these things, like, protect. What was it? What was the end with the Chinese? Your parents locked them up,
and the Taiwanese visiting your parents is killing them. Wasn't that it?
Yeah. Visit your parents. Visit your parents and kill them. You might as well just say that.
Well, that's what he said. That's what it was. Hold on, let me go back for a second. That was
countries around.
Where was it?
To visit each other is to kill each other.
There you go. To visit each other is to kill each other. So the 3x3, yes, of course we know the 3x3s.
Testing. Tracing. Isolation.
Okay, so now let's get into the 3x3s, the magic phrases.
The rhythm and pattern used in these phrases is not a coincidence. There are usually 3 words in each phrase, and the phrases run in threes. This isn't a coincidence. It isn't happen chance. Using phrases of 3 words presented in groups of 3 is a technique known as the rule of 3 in psychological conditioning. And that's the reason for the 3 phrases with which we're all being bombarded. We're being trained and taught at the same time. It's behavioral psychology. Other hypnotherapists have pointed out that if we repeat phrases often enough, then the words and thoughts become implanted in our subconscious minds and then become a belief which motivates our behavior. And so governments repeat slogans which become beliefs. It's called autosuggestion, along the lines of every day in every way I'm getting better and better. George Orwell, who invented Newspeak, also understood the importance of the triple 3-word phrase. In 1984, his futuristic novel, which was written in 1948, Orwell invented the slogan, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength." If you want a picture of the future, wrote Orwell, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
How far away are we now that we've got the 3x3s and we can identify them?
Gone past it.
Which, by the way, we should be doing that. 3x3s. No, we don't do it here.
We don't do it overtly to propagandize people, but I don't know what we do.
Well, how about?
By the way, you get a clip of the day for finding this character.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll take the clip before I play the last one.
Clip of the day.
Donate, no agenda.
Pull the clip.
Donate, no agenda. Support the show. Donating is love. We need to think about these things, man. It's not just the 3x3s. There's some other behaviors that have been amplified throughout the world.
Everything else that's been happening since February 2020 is part of the brainwashing process. And it's been noticeable that the instructions we've been given have been more like orders. The signs that have popped up like dandelions say, "Stand here," not "Please stand here." And why not? You don't say please to prisoners, do you? And then there are the weeks of clapping for carers and medical staff. Clapping, which probably started innocently and with good intentions, I'm sure it did, covers up the paradox, the quiet, insistent terror that comes from knowing that for all practical purposes there's no healthcare, and we've been betrayed by politicians and bureaucrats who decided to devote entire healthcare programs to caring for a relatively small number of patients who have, or might be thought to have, or be susceptible to, the flu-like virus. All this was done as part of the process of mind control. Telling people to stand on their doorsteps at 8 p.m. on Thursdays and to clap is a simple, repetitive task which is part of the mass hypnosis. The clapping may have started out innocently, but it was quickly and enthusiastically promoted by the people who want to influence our lives. Persuading people to do what you want them to do is part of the hypnotherapy process. Getting people to clap was also important in that it made people believe in the danger of the coronavirus and the bravery of those working in healthcare. It helped people accept the fact that there were no beds available for patients with cancer or any other serious disorder.
I mean, when I heard this, I was also a little miffed. Like, we haven't looked close enough at this, at these things taking place. Some of it, but now we have time to think about it.
We've looked as close as we can, probably more than any other podcast or newscast or anybody that does mainstream media, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But what we haven't done, which it seems to me as I listen to this, and I believe the whole thing, it's a good clip, the guy's okay.
Yep.
I don't care about his letters now. I'm less concerned. But I'll say this.
Oh, here it
what
comes.
is coordinating who or why?
Well, hello.
What's the world coordination? And then anybody who breaks ranks like Brazil, I mean, they get slammed, and they don't get slammed by just, one or two people. I got a Brazil clip to play. This is the COVID Brazil report from France 24, where they just hound this Bolsonaro because he's not doing what he's told.
Brazil's health ministry has confirmed 1,086 new COVID-19 cases in the past day alone, bringing its total death toll to over 25,000. The country is the world's second most affected by the virus after the US. According to a recent study, under 60s in Brazil are at greater risk of dying from COVID-19 than they are in other countries, a trend that's only exacerbated in the country's poverty-stricken favelas. Our correspondents in Rio de Janeiro sent this report.
In Rio, high up in Mangueira, the hilltop neighbourhood, José Barros, a 46-year-old entrepreneur, is barely recovering from the week he spent in intensive care. The Barros family has actually been following strict quarantine instructions.
I'm telling you, the more I think about this, and knowing that the actual death rate is very low. The United States has a lower death rate than the Netherlands. The Netherlands, for all the lockdown, there's zero mask requirement. It's not even spoken about. People don't have them in general. It's not a thing. So it's different everywhere because every faction took their orders or the signal or whatever it was, or just saw the opportunity and ran with it. And I don't have to remind you, we had the document from the last show, which was the British SAGE, the advisory group, who literally wrote down in a roster, use the media to make people afraid, use the media to shame people if they're not taking personal responsibility for others, use the media for this. I mean, where does that come from? Well, it comes from, and again, where does all this come from in the government? The UK government is a great example because it was so small and so transparent. It came from the SAGE group. In that group was Neil Ferguson with his bogus 2 million model. In that group is these PR guys who are saying we got to do it this way. These are think tanks. These are outside groups. They advise government. They have tea. They hang out in Brussels. They go to Paris. They have dinners. What is it? Okay, that's it. Good. We'll take it. They don't have time to write legislation all the time. It's the same in Washington. It's the lobbyists. So, it's probably, government is just a useful vehicle in my mind. We just tell the right people what to do, and they do it. Listen to Boris Johnson. He's already slipping into it.
It is a huge imposition, but it will be on a very small minority of the population, a very, very small minority of the population. And I would just say to everybody that it's worth it, because that is the way that other countries, that is the tool that other countries have used to unlock the prison, to make sure that we can go forward.
The truth always wants to come out. You're locked in a prison, slave. Shut up. You said it right there.
Yeah, I did. Well, this is I don't think there's anything that we're uncovering here that is not something that we're targeting constantly, but thinking about the SAGE group and some of these other think tanks and the Davos people and these various institutes, the Brookings and all the rest of them, and they all come up with this heritage. Then you have to go to the conspiratorial ones. They talk about the Bilderbergers, and these guys have their meetings, and then they do this thing. But I don't see them having, The problem is with a big overriding group like, let's say, the Bilderbergers, which have a lot of people who go to these meetings, unless there's an inner core, people break ranks and they say, hey, I don't like this, because not everybody's in agreement about this whole process.
Yes.
But for some reason, no one's breaking ranks on this,
Bullshit.
so we don't know who's behind it.
What do you mean?
Somebody's behind this.
Well, hold on.
UN.
Hold on. I think it's much bigger than just the UN. There's lots of people dissenting. There's lots of people. There's medical professionals. There's politicians. What happens to them? They get taken down off of YouTube. They're censored on Facebook, Twitter, deplatformed. They're gone because, and I was trying to explain this to Joe Rogan the other day. I said, YouTube does not give a flying F about you. Really, they don't. This is just in a larger context of conversation. I said, they don't give a crap. They care about YouTube for messaging. It's messaging to benefit their overall mission, which is, to repeat, they want to be your bank, they want to be your doctor, they want to teach your children, they want to control everything in your house, they want to run your life. They don't care. Hollywood, which is 10 times above you, Joe, no disrespect, doesn't give a crap. And they're going to swallow them up. Amazon is already going to buy all the AMC theaters. They're going to Hollywood is dead. They had no streaming, no movies in theaters. They're sucked up. That's just going to be a little bit of collateral damage for these guys. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, it's for messaging. It's not for publishing your own stuff. It's for messaging. And that's they don't care. They don't care how many numbers he has. They don't care. And who's behind it? Well, again, whether this was on purpose or not, we have to remember what happened. China shut down a city of 11 million people. That had never happened before. That was the headline. Oh my God, this must be horrible. That was the cue. That was the cue that other countries took. That was the cue to Trump to stop the travel. He based it upon the shutdown and not allowing flights to go to other places in China, which was good information. I think that was a lucky shot on his behalf. And we were ready for it. The same words that are in Contagion and Outbreak and the pandemic movie, all of this. And you know what? Even conspiracy theorists who followed Event 201, that was actually preconditioning you, I think. The same words are used, the same outfits, NIH, CDC consulted on those movies. We were ready as all hell to do this. And it was, no one had to command us. We did it. But the mistake was not enough people died. That's why MSNBC, CNN here, the NBC network in particular, are doing their damnedest to make it look just horrible still. And the true people behind it is, of course, Big Pharma. And as we always say, Big Pharma and China control the media. Let's go to Stephen Colbert, who had Bill Gates on via his Skype connection. And Bill Gates is just getting us ready for what's going to come.
The idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not trying to depress you, it's tough enough right now, that most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1, most of the work we'll do to be ready for that are also the things we need to do to minimize the threat of bioterrorism.
Pandemic 2. That is the second wave. The whole world is already talking about it. And they don't need much to make it look like there's a second wave. You just don't need a lot.
You actually don't need anything but the media.
That's right. Now, there's good news because right now society is very controllable and you can do it at your own macro level if you need to, if you wish to. You recall the Keeper and I got our COVID antibodies positive wristbands from our producer in Minnesota. Right? And
yeah, ironically.
Yes. And both our comment was, great idea, but the wrong color because it was kind of an orangish red, which you'd think would stand for warning, stay away from this guy.
Yeah.
Our producer wrote in a note. He's the one that created the band, and he did the social experiment he said he was going to do, and he is reporting back with his results. And he has a very interesting situation, which I will explain in his note. Let me start by saying I'm a pilot in a plane crash survivor. That's a story for another time. Everyone, including the doctors, thought I was dead, in a coma for 4 weeks, 30-plus surgeries later. I'm still here. Germane to the story, I have below-the-knee amputation, hemiparesis on that same side, and scars on my face that look like a military IED survivor. I first went into Costco. Now, John, you and I know Costco. You can't mess with Costco with your mask. I mean, we have a video online of a guy getting kicked out of Costco. No mask. I was walking toward the entrance with my service dog, and the lady said, you have to have a mask. And she began to reach for one. I can't. Medical reasons. I showed her the wristband from about 6 feet away, which she saw, the red wristband that we're talking about, but didn't read the text. She said, okay. And I walked right in. Costco without a mask. No stink eye from anyone. And they mostly looked at my handsome yellow lab service dog with seeming pleasure. Next stop, the doctor. Summary. I refused to wear a mask. They said I have to. They called the doctor. He was cool with it. No mask. When I got up to his office, he noticed the wristband and said, oh, cool. I queried him about me doing a social engineering experiment, and he said, I'm surprised more people aren't doing this. Another day, another doctor, this time an eye doctor. This time I was wearing my No Agenda Shop blue T-shirt with yellow NAS in a seemingly militaristic emblem on it. I even got a comment where someone said, which naval air station were you at? In this case, I relented and wore a mask for the first time because they were working less than an inch from your face. We got through the entire visit, and I was just about to leave. He noticed the wristband, and without me saying anything, went into, hey, you know, my brother was tested. He was negative for the antibodies, but another person conversing with me and never mentioned the actual wristband. Next, I went into Costco again. This time, the woman didn't even query me on a mask. I was the only one in the store not wearing a mask. No stink eye. People seemingly smiling at the dog. All of this in heavy liberal St. Paul, Minnesota. So that's interesting.
Indeed.
And the only thing I would say, and because he did give us that information, it's possible that people are just uncomfortable looking at someone who looks different, and they become instant idiots and pussies and can't stand by their convictions because they're afraid or whatever it is. If he looks kind of beat up, chewed up.
Yeah, and he's got the dog and the whole thing.
Well,
it could be the totality of the gestalt.
It could be the whole package.
Yeah, that makes it work.
Hey, dude, I'm sorry, but you do have the perfect coronavirus crisis package. I mean, that is a benefit. Every downside has an upside. Holy crap.
Interesting.
Yeah. Someone did catch this on the TV machine. This is local. I think it's actually this is from San Francisco, local station.
There's a new way to communicate with other people as to how much social distancing you want or need. The C19 ID Project is producing a series of color-coded wristbands and buttons designed to let other people know your social distancing preference. They borrowed from traffic lights, so red means I am social distancing, give me space. Green means I tested positive for antibodies and I'm willing to socialize normally with other people. The project's founders say the idea here is to reduce people's anxiety as we start to venture outside a little more. All the proceeds, by the way, go to first responder charities.
Well, Gussie, I guess people will start staring at your wrists now. Is it an idea? Okay.
I left.
That's not a local. That's not from here.
No, I left the last.
Oh wait, no,
it
I
is.
know that
it's
black
like
guy. That's KTVU.
KTVU.
It's a
yes.
morning guy.
It is KTVU.
It's a morning guy. I know who he is.
Well, what's interesting is he made that comment to the newscaster who has huge boobs. And he literally says, I guess they'll be looking at your wrists now, huh? I mean, can you believe that? I mean, that's what I got out of it. I'm like, well, holy shit.
Yeah,
listen to that again.
There's a new way to...
I'm staring at your wrists now. Is it an idea? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And
there's HRs involved this afternoon.
It better be. It better be involved.
Well, the point is that the red probably works in the early stage the way he's using it, but over time it's going to evolve to the same old thing we've been programmed for, which is green is good.
Yes,
you know that crazy chart they used to have at the airports.
Yeah, exactly. The color-coded threat level that was printed and could never change.
Yeah, it was printed. Yes. It was always the same orange.
Yes. And so really. What I'm seeing is, let's just go, people. Let's stop this. We need to fight the control. You need to fight back against the government controlling you with these horrible things. And mask is a big part of it. And if someone asks me, I'll say, I'm from the Netherlands. There's the scientists there say there's no proof. So we don't wear masks there. It's like a Sweden. So leave me alone, please. Please. That's what I'll do. That's my defense. My defense
mechanism.
It would work. But unfortunately, still, you've got these crazy ideas and dumb things that are being done to bring people back safely, such as in Vegas, which is now reopening. The casinos, I think you can play at slot machines, but restaurants, etc., will open. Here's a short NBC report from the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Across the country in Vegas, casinos are rolling the dice on opening their doors next week.
God, hello 1980 with your puns. Casinos are rolling the dice. Seriously, how much money do you think that guy makes to come up with this crap?
He makes more than we do.
Gosh.
While around Los Angeles today, some shops got back to business for the first time in months.
To get to Nordstrom's, yeah.
The nation's second largest school district is working on its plan to bring children back to campus in L.A. It could include 16 kids to a classroom, children eating their lunch at their own desks, every child being given one ball to play alone, and staggered school days.
Actually, I had that clip. The one ball to play alone.
You can kick their balls.
So pathetic.
And if I may remind you about the one ball theory.
You can kick their balls, but you can't touch them.
Okay. Just so you know, kids, you can kick other people's balls, but you can't touch them. This is so dumb. One ball. Enjoy, child. To get one crayon, too. It's lame.
Ball so you can play alone.
Yeah. So to wrap it up for me on the mind control and what's being done to us, and I think at this point it's all mind control, and whether it's for nefarious reasons, for control reasons, or people actually are so freaked out they think the only thing we can do is mind control the people because shit, that's how it works. And big technology companies are all complicit. Every single one of them. Anyone who comes out of this. Here's what I was thinking. When you look at Twitter, you have, so even if I post, this is Maurice de Hond, he has a different idea about what's going on. And I post my interview with him. And you get responses of people completely unhinged, the fuck, you're killing people with your disinformation. I don't have to tell you what it is because everybody gets it. So whatever, the squads come out, they're just all triggered and tripped and freaking out. And I think that the problem is really, it is the media. The media is the problem, which is slowly being solved. And
no, what?
Well, wait. Let me finish it. Let me finish.
Go on.
The media is the problem. And when someone believes their station or their tribe or their channel or their newscaster, whatever it is, so it can be, I would say there's a high probability a lot of people watch MSNBC and NBC, probably watch CNN. They probably don't get much other information, but they believe that President Trump is a Russian agent, that he'd had a quid pro quo, that he paid off porn. Well, he did. Paid off porn stars. It's all as much crap. They believe that they're being told the truth. So when MSNBC continues to tell you that you're going to die and you need to wear a mask, you need to stay home and roll up your windows and turn off the air conditioner, you cannot but believe the same people who told you clearly the truth about Trump. So when you see people outside who don't believe in it and are literally willing to risk their life according to your information, I think that is going to start wearing on people. They're going to have to say, wait a minute, is my news source completely true? Because here I am, it's 90 degrees, I'm outside in downtown Austin, and I'm wearing a mask, and look at all these other people who aren't. Don't you think that eventually is going to happen, that people will, the brain twists too much?
You've made this assertion about other things, and I've now come to realize that in some funny way you're this amazing, and I won't say starry-eyed, but I will say you're an optimist.
Yes, I will say
my
for sure.
answer to what you just said is no.
Okay. My optimism, indeed.
I see no evidence of what you just said.
My optimism, well, there is. This show is evidence. My optimism stems from the amount of people, which is a small percentage, but who are just not buying the official story. It's a lot of podcasts, certainly not all. It's a lot of alternative information. The internet genie is out of the bottle. I don't think when you have ultimately a low death count across the globe, a more death rate, that people are going to believe this crap again. A lot of people won't, that's for sure. Probably not the majority, but I think I am an optimist. And I'll give you an example. Here, I only took 1 minute from it, because it actually went on for 5 minutes and is hilarious. This is truly your Dimension A, Dimension B. I don't know if you saw this. This was Joe Kernan, who's on CNBC, The Morning Show, with Andrew Ross Sorkin, who is this boy genius wizard, financial kid. He's no kid anymore, but and they got into a beef. But it's all about the numbers saying, hey, it wasn't all that deadly. The markets went down. Everyone who stayed cool is now kind of back to where they are, and it looks like there's more upside, which of course goes against Andrew Ross Sorkin's entire belief and being, as he is an NBC employee. And this happened.
You panicked about the market, panicked about COVID, panicked about the ventilators, panicked about the PPE, panicked about ever going out again, panicked that we'd ever get back to normal.
Joseph, you didn't panic about anything.
That? What good is it? Why not help
100,000 people died.
Keep their head. I understand
100,000 people died, Joe, and all you did was try to help your friend, the president. That's what you did. Every single morning on this show. Every single morning on this show, you abused and abused your position, Joe.
That's totally unfair.
You abused and abused your position.
I'm trying to help investors keep their cool, keep their heads, and as it turned out, that's what they should have done. That's what they should have done. They should have kept their heads. If they had listened to you, Andrew, we're supposed to be at about 8,000.
I wasn't arguing to go sell your stocks, Joseph. I was arguing about people's lives.
We understand.
People's lives.
Andrew,
that's
it's a global pandemic.
Do the news. I'm begging you to do the news, Joseph.
It's a global pandemic.
I'm begging you.
Andy.
Okay, well, let's back up when you with your narrative about Sorkin to begin with. He's a New York Times hack. That's where he began. He was not any sort of a boy genius financially. In fact, he was just a general interest reporter that they placed him all over the world.
I said he was presented as a boy genius.
Yeah, he could be, but I think he may even be a spook.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Because of his background. If you look at his travels, it's kind of spooky. And he's got the look. He does. The gray hair.
I agree.
Got the blues. He's just got that look. And he was destined to be one of the editors because he's a contemporary with he's younger, but he's a contemporary with Markoff and other people I know that worked at the Times or worked there. And he was going to be the boy genius that was going to, in this case.
You just said it. Yeah, the boy genius.
Yeah, but the boy genius as a journalist that was going to move his way, be a deputy editor and then take over the place kind of thing. And then somebody kicked him out or he quit or he wasn't moving fast enough. I'm not sure. And then he went, or he liked broadcasting. There are people who have done that.
No, man.
The camera.
No, he's a
good-looking guy.
He wrote these big movies, Too Big to Fail, which was his book. I think he's the co-creator of Billions. So okay. A boy genius in the financial sense because he's created entertainment products that deal with the glamorous side of the finance industry. How's that sound?
Well, he is a New York Times New Yorker. He's got that. He has been brainwashed to exhibit this Dimension B qualities. This was as far as I'm concerned, that clip is an embarrassment to him.
Yes.
He should be ashamed of himself for being such a dummy.
Yes. I totally agree. So the
I'm just looking at this about this I remember this happened.
You got a spook tell?
No, it's not a spook tell, but I remember when this happened. Markoff was given the opportunity to do this. They took a WordPress template and created this thing called Deal Book. And Sorkin was given it, I think he was like second or third on the list of, you want to do this as a blog. And it was in the New York Times.
Blog, okay.
And everybody at the New York Times is blog.
Can't have a blog.
They were all,
stupid
so
blog.
Sorkin took it and ran with it, and this is what gave him. This was his launching pad, and everybody else dropped the ball on this. I remember this, and then he started doing these other things, including Too Big to Fail.
Well, anyway, but you can see kind of what's going. And what's his face? Joe Kernan's also a New Yorker. He probably isn't. They probably both live in Connecticut, but. It's just, but what the argument was from Sorkin that was telling was you're just doing it to help your friend Donald Trump. I mean, Jeez. By the way, I fully recognize that I often play the role of Sorkin in our arguments, and I need to work on that because it's very embarrassing. Because he got a little unhinged. Yeah, I get unhinged sometimes. Sometimes I get a little unhinged.
You get unhinged all the time.
No, not all the time. Today I was very calm.
Because I backed it off so quickly.
Oh man, I had to
I was a genius.
I had to point my gun at you. What are you talking about? Backed off.
Yeah, talking about pointing your gun. I got these doves that have moved in. They've moved in where I had mockingbirds in the neighborhood, 2 or 3 pairs of them. They were just melodious, and these idiot doves. I don't know what the pecking.
I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt for 1 second? Did you literally just go from a story about us arguing to sending me a dove? Is that what that's very sweet of you?
I should say, well, yeah, that's symbolism. You have no idea how much I hate these birds.
I do now. Okay, so what's the problem? Where are they?
They're all over the place. They've come in. They've moved out. In fact, there's less crows and there's doves. We have a bunch of different subcultures of birds around here. There are blue jays, there's crows, there's ravens, but these doves have moved in. They've never been here before, and they moved out all the songbirds, and all they do is go ooh, ooh,
yeah,
ooh, ooh. They make no sounds other than that. It sounds, when I first heard them, I thought an owl was up during the day. And it was like, ooh, ooh, the worst. It's driving me nuts.
So
that's why I'm on edge.
Do you have a firearm or a bow and arrow or something?
I was thinking about it. I'm going to get a rifle. I think I'm going to start picking them off.
But get a little BB gun.
A BB gun won't kill them. And it's inaccurate. A pellet gun would probably be
a pellet. But you need the pellet gun, the CO2 with the little darts you can put in, the little small darts.
Yeah, it's hard to penetrate. I think I need I need a 22.
How about a 380 ACP? I mean, come on, be a man about it. What's your problem, man?
Noise. You can hear the discharge. That's what I have to worry about.
I know, because California. You know what? Be careful, man. You got all the Karens around there, Berkeley.
Yeah, it's actually not around my neighborhood. It's all Chinese.
Oh, okay. Well, good. All right, one more thing we got to talk about as we're talking about the messaging of the government and how Silicon Valley is, and again, this so-called they're censoring conservatives on Twitter. The real reason for this is it's about the advertisers. I'm not going to go through it all over again. The advertisers don't want to be anywhere where there's controversy, and the advertisers live under cancel culture for the ad buyers, the executives, and the brands themselves. So that's why anything that is not in line is taken down. What is in line? Well, that's whatever the big mission is. There is an issue with the so-called censoring of social media networks, and that is that these networks were allowed to grow. Wasn't it under Clinton initially? No, Clinton did the no taxes online, and then we got Section 230 of which act was that? Section 230. I should know this.
I don't know.
I think it was the.
You gotta explain more.
Yeah. Well, Section 230, what it says and what enabled these companies to grow, and many companies to grow, is if you operate a computer service where people can, it's the Communications Decency Act, where people can post, as long as you are not editorializing what people post, then you cannot be held liable for what people are posting. It's literally that simple. There were very specific exceptions in Section 230, and I shall read them to you, because if you are an operator, so for instance, No Agenda Social is a very good example, although no one really owns it, but let's just say something shows up there, and it's really bad for somebody else, and it's a lawsuit can be brought against that person, which would be difficult considering anonymity, etc. But you can never sue me for hosting it. The only reason Twitter, Google, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, can take stuff down is the specific protection, and you are allowed to remove content that is, and this is always broad, but we've heard these before, obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. And what is taking place, I think...
Harassing is the right pronunciation. You had to go to the alternative.
I believe that even the use of algorithms is editorializing, but certainly removing things that is not for one of those reasons can be considered editorializing. And the debate is not old. It's been going on for a long time. And now there's a draft executive order, which is out there. So I'm going to, it's called Preventing Online Censorship. It looks legit. The language is legit. It has a big draft stamped on it. So I'm pretty sure this was leaked to send out a message to Twitter, who, of course, started fact-checking the president's tweets. And I think Marco Rubio will be leading a Senate committee, and they're going to drill down and find out. Yeah, sure. They're going to drill down and find out if there's gambling going on there at those Silicon Valley companies. And so here is what the deceptive practices that will be looked at. The White House Office and Digital Strategy shall submit all complaints. We're going to open up the complaint line again. The working group shall, so not only looking at editorializing, but shall also collect publicly available information regarding monitoring or creating watch lists of users based on their interactions with content or users. That, I think, is a legal term for algorithms. But they also specifically give some examples: likes, follows, time spent, also tracking, and they will need to report on monitoring users based on their activity off the platform, which is, of course, another issue that I think definitely needs to be looked at. That's a big one. Yeah, it's like Facebook. I don't have an account anymore, yet they can track me everywhere.
Well, no, I don't even think it's that. I think that people have been kicked off of Facebook for doing something else outside of the platform.
Correct. That too. But it'll, and it could also mean tracking people through credit card data purchase. I mean, it could mean a lot of different things. So anyway, this is now bubbling up, and we'll have to see what happens. I will say that the entire idea, I would like Section 230 to be upheld for sure. But
this is all Mika Brzezinski's doing.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
I do.
I mean, Trump may do whatever he wants if he gets reelected. I hope he does something about it. The way I see our future, and here's where I'm not such an optimist, I believe that in the future, the act of not using a Silicon Valley platform on the internet will become the definition of hacking on the internet. I can see it coming down Broadway. There'll be illegal systems, illegal sites. And people are already conditioned. People don't know that you can do other stuff on the internet. They have no clue.
It's like the era when everyone was kind of entrenched on the AOL. As far as they were concerned. Yes. Keyword, no agenda. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the way to go. This is the internet. Do you have an internet account? Yeah, I got AOL. Yeah. And then AOL stupidly put a link to the internet. It was a mistake.
Well, you remember how that went. It was, here's a very dangerous place, and you had this click, yes, I understand, click, I know what's happening, yeah, I'm okay with it, click, 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 and you got a little crappy browser, which, by the way, formatted everything wrong and different from the standard, which the day was NCSA Mosaic. But that was exactly it, because it was secretive and dangerous. Hello? That's where you want to go. That's where kids always go.
Yeah, they should have not had it at all. It's like, what's the point? Or they should just, who needs the internet?
So you watched Minneapolis. What's your takeaway? What'd you learn?
Well, they went nuts. I was watching the live feeds. It started. You were probably in bed when most of this happened. Although it did start.
I saw some of it around 10 p.m.
So they started during the day. They started looting. This is all over the guy that the four fired cops, and one of them probably going to get indicted, killing some guy who probably was minding his own business for all practical purposes. He was supposedly busted in the process of committing a forgery. That was the.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, you tell me. That was the call. So the cops came. He's signing a bad check or something. I don't even know what it means. And so they bust the guy. He didn't seem to be a troublemaker by any means. The next thing you know, he's down on the ground. They're choking him to death, and he dies.
So it was I can't breathe moment.
Yeah, it was the total I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And
may I point out, we just heard a callback to George Orwell. The future is a jack-footed boot on human's head forever. And that's exactly what this was. Exactly.
It was a knee in this case.
Okay, knee, jackboot. Mm-hmm.
So this was on Monday, and so by Wednesday, they were the mayor. You have to know that the entire state of Minnesota is a social justice warrior Democrat state.
No, it's the Ilhan Omar state.
It's Ilhan Omar state, but not only that, but the mayors, in fact, the two mayors are both members of the same Democrat Labor Farmers Party, which is a Democrat party that is merged with the Farmer Labor Party back in the 40s and became the DLF, I think is the name of it. This is the moniker. Yeah. And they're all the Democrats in Minnesota are in this party. And it's one of its tenets is socialism, social justice, and so they're all do-gooders. Mm-hmm. So you have a state full of these guys. The two mayors, for example, or the mayor, of Minneapolis, they did a runoff. They have the runoff, second place, first place. You take a first place vote, do a second place vote, and then you have a runoff between the two top winners. And the two top winners are both from the same exact Democrat Farm Labor Party. So there's no even a hint of anything other than these liberals. And so they're beside themselves in this situation because the black community didn't see the wheels of justice moving fast enough about these four cops. Even though they were fired immediately, the mayor came out and demanded that the district attorney file murder charges or something against one of the cops. Right. So they were moving pretty fast because we're talking Monday, Tuesday,
they
Wednesday,
all got fired. They're out. Boom. Down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I thought that they were moving fast, but not fast enough. And it looks like, a lot of it was pent up.
Yeah. What do you think? Of course.
First, they're stuck. They're stuck staying at home. A lot of it. By the way, somehow Nancy Pelosi is going to blame Trump for this.
Well, of course,
they're stuck at home.
We wouldn't have racism if it wasn't for Trump.
Yeah, that's the point. And so they got stuck at home, and so they started looting the Target and this mall, and they started looting the stores nearby and the liquor store, and so they started in almost organized looting. The employees all left, and the cars are just driving in up to the gate. There's people would run in and grab stuff and put it in their car and drive off. And it was all live on TV because there was a chopper above the whole scene with one. Some of these lenses people don't realize. You're looking at a lens that costs $10,000 that can zoom in from God knows how many.
Yeah, these are forward-looking infrared cams, like 30,000 a piece.
This is a regular one of those long.
They got stabilizers, gyros, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's got
stabilizers. Yeah. And anyways, those lenses down there. So you're looking right into the target, and you see these people running in and out, and running in and out, and then later, this was the bigger surprise, is they burnt down the whole area.
Yeah.
And so they burnt down most of it. And it was like I don't know what the Democrat Labor Party or whatever is, which is, and by the way, this, I personally feel bad about this because this hurts my essay that I sent out on Tuesday talking about Amy Klobuchar getting a shoo-in for the VP pick. I think her chances are now they've been hurt by this because Klobuchar is part of this whole machine that is Minnesota party politics.
No, I disagree. I think she, how much I like her.
You're in love with her. So
I'm not in love with her, but you ruined her chances. You ruined her chances when you said this.
Klobuchar's an asshole.
See, you said that and it was over. Everyone hated her after that. It was done. Chanceless.
She is an asshole. So she, I think her chances go, or maybe not, but because I don't know who else they're going to pick, but she's going to have to distance herself from the state a little bit. But that state is a mess in terms of the fact that it's been taken over. The entire upper level government, the governor, and
they don't know how to handle it. Look at the people who they are. They don't know how to handle this. They're not leaders. They're political activists.
you actually summarized it better than I have been doing. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. And you're right. The pent up being locked up, and there's lots of pent up energy. And I think this is the first, just the first pull back of the covers of what, I'm sorry, I would say government and our local governments, but according to Cuomo, we did it ourselves as the people. This is just the first of many things we're going to discover. These people they're probably poor, have been locked up, jobs a problem, health a problem, food a problem, and then the police are killing people with their knee on their head. Oh, bro, this is bad news. This is just the beginning. And I was saddened myself. Here I am, the guy who thinks that, the internet and the free access and getting information out will help. And here's the clip I got.
Hey, everybody that's on this live right now, make sure you subscribe to my channel right now.
People out there trolling for followers, man. It's like, I can't handle it anymore. They're just like, hey, man, hook me up, give me some likes, bro. It's just too much.
So this situation in Minnesota has to be analyzed. It's going to be a serious problem for the Democrats, although they're going to make Trump his fault somehow.
Of course it is.
Because, if it wasn't for racism they're screwed. I think the state is in really bad shape. I didn't realize how bad a shape it was in until I started looking into the party politics that go on there. They've just been taken over by these social justice types. That's how Ilhan Omar got in. Of all people, she's an anti-American.
Yeah, and a lot more.
This could happen in California.
You know what? I'm not going to.
It's not as bad. Believe me. Take my word for it. It's not as bad as it looks. And Gavin Newsom wants to be president of the United States, and he's not going to let things get out of control.
But will he have control? I don't know. L.A. is good at riots, man, and they're still locked down.
L.A. is good. Well, San Francisco's no slouch.
True.
They have good looting that goes on in San Francisco.
Well done, San Fran.
But that's always usually after an earthquake or something where people say, well, the lights are off, the power's down, let's go loot.
Yeah.
But L.A. is where they start burning the place down. San Francisco, they don't burn the place down.
Well, on that happy note, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in cool mask, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, ships, sea boots, and the in the air, subs in the water, and Dames Nights out there.
And a big in the morning to the troll room. Hello, trolls. Let's do a little troll check, see if people are home or at work. Yeah, I think, 1526. That's a lot of trolls.
Back to normal. We're getting back to normal.
It's a little bit, yeah. I think people are open, getting back to work. They can't listen as much as they'd like to, live at least.
Thursday.
Live at least. Otherwise, we're doing okay. NoAgendaStream.com. That's where you can find the trolls, listen to the live stream, and you can also hit them up there for an invite to NoAgendaSocial.com, which is our own social network connected to the federated Mastodon network of servers. And you can follow us there. I'm Adam at NoAgendaSocial.com. And a big in the morning to the artist who created the artwork for episode 1245. That was Mike Riley. And he made, it was a nice piece with the geese and the microphone overpowering Joe Biden. Well drawn. I thought it was beautiful. Although someone posted something and said, oh, if it's just clip art is the criteria, maybe I should make some art. I don't think this was clip art.
Could have been.
Doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't look like it to me either, but who is that? Who is it that made that comment?
Oh, just a rando, not comic strip blogger.
Not our normal complainer.
Not our normal complainer. Maybe a pseudonym for him, I don't know. But not our normal complainer, no. So
okay. Well, I liked the piece. It hit the spot, and Riley's good. So
let me see what was the other.
If he used clipboard, it was legal. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not talking about so much about the legality, and the other things were It was nothing really hit it quite like that one. And I have to say, the more I see art that just pops, the better I think it is. sometimes just too much going on. You know, these pictures show up little.
Yeah, we have to probably go. I'm thinking that maybe we should have like a guide, like an artist guide.
Well, you're in charge of that division.
I think I've been talking about this for like the last 5 years.
Yeah, so where is it? Where's your TPS reports?
It's pretty much exactly that, yes.
Thank you, Mike Riley. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can see all the submissions. It's used everywhere, and we encourage that, including NoAgendaShop.com, who put it on mugs, T-shirts, hoodies, etc., and cut the artists in and the show. And it's a beautiful kiretsu of things happening here, and it's part of our value for value model. We appreciate the value that Mike Riley, but all the artists, what they have provided. And many people.
Well, I want to thank Joshua Pettigrew for sending me a copy of. I asked him for a copy of the old art that he did for the Buttigieg. It looked like
Oh! Now, weren't you going to blow that up and print it and hang it on your wall?
Yeah, no, I asked him to do it.
Oh, did he print it big for you?
Well, not huge. No, I didn't make it. I didn't want a monster. I wanted just something that's, I think it's like
it's a beautiful
about 14
piece.
by 14, something like that.
But how come you got these huge printers at home? I mean, you can literally do sheets of money at your house.
I have access to these huge printers. I don't have them at my house.
I thought you had a big one at home.
No, I don't have. I do have a fairly. I have a 17-inch professional printer, and I got a 19-inch one, but they're not the big monster floor standers.
Speak for yourself. It's a 19-incher. That's a floor stander in my book.
Well, if you're short, you have 3 legs. Let's thank a few people for being the executive producers.
By the way, we are adults and yet still so childish at heart.
Tony Cabrera leads the way with $927.86.
Nice.
I don't know where he's from, but he says ITM checking in with the latest round of No Agenda Show profits.
No, the No Agenda Shop. No Agenda Shop.
There's the No Agenda Shop.
Just
No
talking
Agenda
about
Shop profits. Yeah,
Wow.
he's the guy, but he's doing well. It's 1 minute to midnight, so I will wrap this up quick. No Agenda artists can expect their share by this weekend. Corona has been good for sales, but definitely a test in patience. So I want to thank everyone who's ordered for being amazingly understanding of the delays caused by the New World Order style regulations. No jingles, no karma.
Well, thank you very much, Tony. And there you go. Just talking about No Agenda Shop. It helps everybody. And I love that line. Artists are getting their share this weekend. That is true value for value. That's our network. Thank you, Tony. I want to give Tony a karma just because he didn't ask for one, and those guys do such a good job, and they get it.
You've got karma.
Janet Fiore Kramer in Haarlem, Netherlands, 402, which is actually a total. She made 2 donations, 333 plus 69. 333 is my first executive producer. Yay, my letter below. And 69, I made this donation in the name of my favorite brother, Mark.
Oh.
Please, can you say his name? Mark Fiore. Okay. ITM and T, thank you for your courage. I want to express my extreme gratitude to you, gentlemen, for the best podcast in the universe. For a purposely short note here, I do want to say that No Agenda keeps me sane and helps me sleep at night. There's somebody sent a note in later. We'll read it. That they have a different take on the sanity thing. I thought it was quite interesting. It's a huge comfort, she writes, to know you and other people around the globe have their heads screwed on correctly. Otherwise, I would have lost all faith in humanity by this point. This community, the No Agenda community, is fantastic. You guys rock. Please, may I have the following? Although this is not my first donation, I have not yet been properly
de-douched.
You've been de-douched.
Jobs, then she wants numbers. Next, she wants Jobs Karma with a twist of goat. And, quote, I have hairy legs, followed by it's true.
Hairy legs is not a clip. It's not a jingle. It's not a thing we have. We've never had that. We've had the story of the hairy legs, but it's not an ISO.
We never pulled it as an ISO.
No, but I do have something just as good.
I'm going to give you the whole load today.
Yeah, that's
how about that? And she wanted jobs.
That's true.
There you go.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You thought.
There you go.
Karma.
Yikes. Is that the regular goat?
That's the goat.
350 comes in from ITMOMA, which is a guy in Omaha. I think it's a guy in Omaha, Nebraska, wanting to be anonymized. Dearest Crockpot and Buzzcut, I am ITMOMA here, and NA Troller, GOB, and Proud Hogstorian. This donation officially brings me to knighthood. Oh, I don't know if he's on the list because I don't think he is. But I know he's not.
Oh.
This donation officially brings me to knighthood and secures my seat at the coveted roundtable. Coveted. Oh, I get it.
Yes, I got it.
I may have taken me over a decade of douchebaggery to get here, but I made it.
Nice.
Little girl, yay. So henceforth, I shall be known as Sir OMA, Noble Knight of the number 5 T-Box, T-E-E. I humbly must be a golfer. I humbly request some fairy nectar and Dots pretzels to be added to the buffet table.
Okay, hold on a second. So it's ITMOMA, because this is not on the list, and it becomes Sir OMA, Noble Knight of the number 5 T-Box. Okay, and then, I'm sorry, what were the round table?
Fairy nectar.
Okay.
And Dots pretzels. I guess it's somebody named Dots.
Okay. I've put the order in. It's plenty of time still. Bless you. Plenty of time still, so it should show up. Not a problem. And what else do we do here? Bless you again. Oh, my goodness.
You want us to play You Will Obey? The silence is in? And bullshit. Here's to another decade of shows. Cheers, love you, mean it. ITMOMA.
Okay. Well, I think we have some of those that we can play.
You will obey. You will obey. You will obey.
Don't feel denied. The science is in. Science.
Bullshit.
Not bad.
That's interesting.
It's a good old combo.
Next is we had $300 from Riyadh, of all places, Saudi Arabia, and Faisal Almo Faki.
Let me see. Faisal Al-Mafke.
I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the show. I love your work from the days of Cranky Geeks. Hey,
wow.
Thank you.
I wonder if Sir Dave is still out there hitting people in the mouth.
Well, Dave's probably locked down, he said.
Yeah, but he's around people.
Well, maybe Faisal and Dave should get together.
Yeah, certainly. Cool. Thank you very much, Faisal.
Sir Drumcat Brian Vaughn in Mesa, Arizona. He drops us down to associate executive producers with $255. In the morning, John and Adam, I'm sending a donation, $255, to celebrate my 55th trip around the sun, which will be completed this Saturday, May 30th. You're on the list. Please add me to the birthday list. You're on the list. I would also like to request a good old-fashioned jobs karma to aid me in keeping the wheels greased at my new home in Mesa, Arizona, where I have recently, he's in Mesa, Arizona, if you haven't heard. I recently relocated to there from San Francisco Bay Area, San Carlos. Thank you for your courage, and as always, the show is super great. Couldn't be better. Stay frosty.
Such a nice compliment. It's almost like Warren Beatty telling Madonna her performance was neat. All right, man. Thanks. Super great. Here you go.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You thought. Karma.
And then we have Dame of the Crystal Core in Hilversum, Netherlands.
Yes. Shall I read this one?
Yeah, you might as well.
Dame of the Crystal Core says, I believe in the doctor friend who claims to have cured HIV patients with vitamin C. Yeah, I've heard this too. My grandfather did something similar about 30 years ago. He was treating people who had developed AIDS, the disease, messed up skin, severe fatigue, and weight loss. He figured out the biological clock of the virus and would have his patients take dosages of vitamin A, C, and E several times a day at the time the virus was dormant. They would do this 1 month per year. They remained HIV positive but were cured in a sense they could live normal lives without symptoms. My grandfather received wide public credit for his work and was able to help millions of people in collaboration with dozens of doctors and health organizations he reached out to. Not. The Dutch still like the 80s jokes. They won't allow it. Enough said. Well, she's doing it in this English, so. I really like the Maurice the dog interview, but I'm also confused. Is he saying that coronavirus is new and no one has antibodies? Doesn't that contradict the fact that corona's been around since the 60s or longer? It could be. I don't know. If so, doesn't it mean a lot of us do have antibodies? Regardless, he provided some excellent do's and don'ts during any flu season. Thanks, dog. Okay, enough babbling. Much love to you, Adam and John, No Agenda family, anyone out there who gives a damn. Thank you very much, Dame of the Crystal Core. I think I know who your dad is. I've read this. I've read stuff about him. Very interesting. Thank you very much for your courage.
Onward with Adam Sheev. $201. He's in Austin, Texas there with you. And he only has one little comment. More Kaylee clips.
And the audience demands, John. So you got Kaylee. I saw you got a little helping of Kaylee for us today.
Yeah, she's hanging in there.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Knight on the east side, White Barrel Lake, Minnesota, $200. This came in before the riots. Special mention to a song written in 2018 by the Spill Canvas, Mothership Hive Mind. Shout out to the boys in the band. Give a song a listen or play a clip in the show. New Jersey House Sale, Karma Please, all the same. SKOES goes. Met Adam and the Keeper in the Des Moines meetup. I have pictures. Mothership Hive Mind, prophetic lyrics, verse 1. I am the virgin dirt resting by the wasteful race of earth. They'll be sorry when I'm gone in the air, infected, but nobody seems to care. Till they're choking on disease. Chorus 1, you can blame it all on my new generation. We just don't have a clue. At least that's what the media says. So you know. That it must be true. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole song. It goes on too long. And so we will check the song out. And then that he ends without any requests.
I think he sent me a copy of it, which, of course, I can't just play. That's a surefire way to get into trouble. But Sir Knight of the East Side, thank you very much for your support. It's highly appreciated. And did he want a karma? I thought I read that in there somewhere. Yeah, New Jersey House Sale Karma. Here it comes.
Oh, yes. Okay, good catch.
You've got karma.
Sir James Howard comes in from Indianapolis, Indiana, $200. And all he has to say is fantastic interview with Maurice.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Well, he liked it.
Yeah.
And last on the list is Sean Smith from Belmont, North Carolina, $200. And he just wants some jingles. He wants the 33 magic number 2 to the head. Shut up, slave. And Adam has a make good note.
Well, there's a lot of things.
You have a couple make good notes.
He's asking me for a lot of things here. I do? What do you mean I have a lot of make good notes?
Well, you have to make good note for
what?
I can never remember. This is the one I've lost. She sent a note and said, you should read my original note. And she never sent it again. Then she sent you a copy. And she's the one that Black Rose, Dame of the Death, of Doom or something. I can't remember her moniker.
Didn't we already do that?
No, bro.
I don't know. I'm not in charge of the notes.
No. But this time you got the note and you said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. On the note back to her, and I had the CC of it.
Okay, so let me go take a look, because now I have to look for an email with some make good note, Sean Smith. Okay, hold on.
All right, I actually don't have the jingle.
Outlook. Wait, how do I spell Sean's name? Sean A.W. Jeez, this is so painful. Sean Smith. Okay, Sean Smith, where are you? Here we go. Make good. Oh, guess what? It's nice and long. Dear Podfather, I had an executive producer credit on Sunday's show, 12:45. Mask up. which, by the way, is a slogan that we're now seeing on road signs. Mask up, your No Agenda show, once again, from the future. There was a mistake in the reading of my note. Emphasis added by me. John was apparently reposed on his chaise lounge. Aha! Why do I get the damn note if you're responsible? John was apparently reposed on his chaise lounge, and the sun was glaring on his monitor when he misread the portion where I was describing my friend who turned me on to the show. I tried to explain that he is an anonymous donor with less than $50 a month and therefore could not call him a douchebag. John misread the note and my friend was douchebagged. I cannot let this stand. Okay. So I will de-douche him post-haste.
We had an accidentally douchebagged?
Yeah.
Someone got accidentally douchebagged?
And apparently it warrants quite a complaint. And I think I have to agree.
Well, give Karen a make good.
Was it Karen? Oh, I see what you're saying.
You've been de-douched.
One other point, Sean says, I wish my roommate a happy birthday, and John thought it was asking for me in November. Trust me. I know May is way too far in advance for a birthday wish, but it did make me John, it's all your fault. That's the bottom line.
I remember this note.
It's your
because
fault.
of the November thing, and I was ridiculing him, yeah.
Well done. Good job.
Well, at least he got his attention.
All right, what does he need? He needs 33, 2 to the head. Shut up, slave. I think we can do that for you. Let me get it set.
33. That's a magic number. It's the magic number.
Slave. There we go. Done. Make good, fulfilled, and happy about it.
Yeah, well, he got out of it. I mean, this other woman who's in the vortex, we lost her note 3 times. And she's in the vortex. This happens, by the way. She should be, it's a privilege.
Yeah, she should be very proud to be in the No Agenda vortex.
We haven't had anyone stuck in the vortex for, I think, a couple of years now.
Crazy when it happens like that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, in fact. But it's just part of the way it goes. It's the way we roll.
It's part of the way. Okay, Boomer. That's how we roll.
Okay, Boomer. So I want to thank, these are our executive and associate executive producers for show 1246. And they made this all possible.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, everybody. Great support. Executive producer credits and associate executive producer credits handed out right here. Please use those anywhere where they are recognized. They will be accepted with great glee and joy, as you have both helped executive or associate executive produce episode 1246 of your best podcast in the universe. More people to thank later on, and a reminder that Sunday will be happy to bring you more of this good stuff. You can support it by going to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And now you know that you're being mind controlled. Keep the 3x3 in mind. It's important.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave. Shut up, slave.
I wanted to run a few ISOs by you just for the end of show before we get to it.
Yeah, I didn't get any this time.
I have.
This is cool.
I got that one. And.
Forget government.
That's not bad.
I mean, it's doable, right?
That's it?
Yeah, well, usually it's your job.
They're a little echoey.
Am I? Echo.
No, he is.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, geez.
Forget government.
It's not that bad.
Well, do the other one again.
Okay.
This is cool.
I think we had to go with
What a dipshit. This is cool. Let's hear that again.
This is cool.
That was the uncoolest guy saying that. That's the funny part of it.
Well, he says he's an uncool guy, but that'd be a good way to end the show because it is cool.
Yeah. I have, now, we got such a nice compliment during the donation segment there. There was something I wanted to share with you because you weren't on the email. This is from Dr. Hamilton, MD. Is that a crackpot, or is it MD, or is that a good thing, MD?
No, I said when I said my complaint, I specifically said MD is okay.
Okay, great. ITM, Adam and Johnny. I don't know why he says Johnny. His words, not mine. Wow. As a practicing physician in a low COVID volume hospital, I am most impressed with your coverage of all aspects of the Wuhan crud. Episodes 1245 and 1244 and 1245 both had especially top drawer segments which dovetailed with all other separate credible reports I have uncovered about this. Nothing on the M5M can be believed, and all of these reliable sources I have identified, the NA reports, are actually the best. Both you guys, especially you, JCD, are doing a bang-up job here. So sad, so sad that the No Agenda Journal of Medicine is the best thing out there on this topic. What does that tell you? Sincere thanks from my microscopic amygdala, Dr. Hamilton, MD.
Yeah, if you go back 2 shows before that, Adam was doing the yeoman's work. So he just liked those reports I got from that. From the 120 podcast. I
have a public service announcement for the tribe. I had a massive fail, epic fail. I effed up royally on Monday, and I apologize for it. And some of you have noticed it, many not, but some will.
Monday?
Yeah, Monday, I think. I messed up Monday. I'll tell you what happened. I recorded MoFax. And
I thought you said on Monday that you were going to push it off.
No, I said on Sunday that we normally would have done it Saturday. Right. Yeah, right. I know the days run together for me too. And it was late, because it was a lot. It was 2.5 hours. It was a lot of. It was all about the You Ain't Black from Biden. So you can imagine it was a damn good show, and there's a lot going on. So I publish it, and accidentally I publish the MoFax with Adam Curry feed onto the No Agenda feed. So, which meant that for a brief moment, anyone whose app or anything checked, it pulled in all of the MoFax episodes into No Agenda.
It's just a test when you're going to take over and you're going to kick me off and put MoFax as the This was just a test. I know what it was.
And somehow I knew you were going to take it that way. So I switched it back, of course, but there is some caching with some of these apps. So you may have like one No Agenda show and then a whole bunch of MoFax. The easy is just unsubscribe, resubscribe. It'll get fixed. And don't worry, anything else that's new will pop in where it belongs. No, I'm sorry. It's not all a test.
Bill Gates tried to cut Paul Allen out of the company.
And did he do it the same way?
Yeah.
Exactly
the same.
I just changed the RSS feed?
Called him on it. That was the end of it.
No, well, I'm not. You don't have to call me on anything because it was a mistake. Now, I do have one other thing that is very interesting. The call went out to replace the No Agenda show notes search. And we had 3 developers who contacted me. And
3?
3.
Developer?
That's it. And that's it, Stevie boy. And so I pointed him to all the files and where they get everything. And one of them I've not heard from again. But one of them, it was Steak Plant is his handle. He starts cranking, and he's got something good going. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. And then he sets up a domain, which is noagendaquery.eu. Let's make sure that's what it is. Noagendaquery.eu, which, of course, it's just, no, it's not it. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm glad it's not that because I don't want anyone to really see it yet because it's not ready. He's also doing a feedback loop on No Agenda Social. People are feeding back, and the thing is fast and kick ass. And then last night, I think it's the same guy, but no, someone's done noagendaquery.com, and it's very similar, very similar. So now we have 2 search engines being developed. I'm not quite sure what to do with that situation, other than I'd hope that all developers would kind of go on noagendasocial.com or noagendaquest.com. That's what the original ones. So it's going to be our regular bingit.io, but whatever it is, do we see if these guys can work together and come up with
that's not the way it's normally done in the old-fashioned IBM sense of things.
Yeah, but we're not IBM.
We are kind of IBM at this point.
Oh.
we're the IBM of podcasters, which is good and bad. Well, IBM used to send 2 teams out to do the exact same job. That's how they were making money. They could afford to do this. They'd send 2 teams out, and then they just let them go to the point where one of them was superior to the others, and then maybe they could join forces after that. I think they should continue their quest until they get to a point where I think this is about as far as I can take this.
Yeah.
And then we'll just look at one, look at the other, and say, well, this one's good because any way you can – what will happen is that one guy will have some ideas that the other guys won't think about, and you can incorporate it after the whole thing is – after the process is finished.
It's up now, noagendaquest.com. You just take a look at it for 1 second how kick-ass this is. It's so much better than what we had before. And it's fast, and the results show you all the stories. It's got links to the episodes, links to the. He's putting in transcripts. It's going to be great, really good. Here's the only request I have as developers do stuff for us, and this is where we got burned, and I think we can solve some of that now. If you set something up like a search engine or a player or whatever external site you have, please, please, please consider Dockerizing it. And allowing me to have a copy of that. Yeah. You know what that is, right?
What an idea. Hey, this is nice.
Isn't that great? And this is kick ass.
We got geniuses that, let's face it, people who listen to this show are above the pale. They're smarter than the average bear.
Yep. This is our Manhattan Project.
Just dynamite.
Yeah. It's good shit, right? I'm so proud.
It doesn't need anymore. It doesn't need anything to get too fancy.
What I'd like the links for because we have archives of every link you see is a story, and we have the archive for it. Oh wait, has he done that? No. So there's
a bunch of clips at the bottom.
Oh yeah, no, and you can do all kinds of stuff. You can search on it. Well, anyway, it's so please Dockerize it so that we can have a copy. Isn't that what it's called? Is it called Dockerize?
That was document. Isn't it document your code?
No, sir. Do you know what a Docker is? Docker is this revolutionary shit that's been going on in technology where you can save the entire machine into basically a digital bin, hand it to someone else. They can boot it up on their machine, and it works. Docker.io.
Don't you think documenting the code would be a good idea?
It's a Docker container is what it is. I don't care about that. I don't care about documenting the code. Just give me a Docker container so that can be relaunched somewhere if you die, if you forget whatever it is going to happen if someone else needs to come in, because that's where I messed up. I didn't ask for that before. We have no access to the people or the code or anything.
Good point.
So, yes, but you're right. Ultimately, we have some smart people. I think all of our people are smart.
So here we go I want to play the little controversy that was created. We talked about a little bit last week about Trump making some comments about Joe Scarborough being a murderer. Even though he never said that, he just said they should reopen an old case.
Initially, I was turned off by this whole story. People sending me links. I'm not interested. I don't give a crap.
I'm kind of interested.
Well, I'll tell you what is changing my mind. Trump is hammering this. He's not stopping. He's making really big insinuations about this being a cold case that deserves to be reopened. He's not an idiot, despite what many think.
Well,
Trump does this for a reason.
Couple of comments here. One, I want to say to the artist, I do get the joke that you had in the cover art for the last show. I don't know who else got the joke, but I got it. And that refers to, they had a picture of Scarborough with a black tear tattooed on his face, which is gang talk for I killed somebody.
Nice.
So it refers back to Kaylee referred back to this Don Imus clip of Scarborough joking around about it. And I thought she handled the questions and answers on the Scarborough thing poorly, because all she really had to do was read Trump's tweet and say, where does he say this? Where does he say that? Because they've the media has been reading, and he's accused him. He's done this. Hasn't done any of this. But I
was just going to say, just for people who don't exactly know what we're talking about, Joe Scarborough is of the Morning Joe show, Mika and Joe, and he used to be a senator or congressman.
Congressman.
From
Florida,
and,
District 1.
Yes, and Don Imus was a famous New York radio talk show host who predates Howard Stern a little bit, but definitely competed, a different kind of show, but at the same time, definitely brashness, etc. And he's dead now, so that's easy. Kaylee clip?
So, no, I'm going to play the Imus clips.
Okay.
Because Kaylee referred to this. I don't have this Kaylee clip's about something else.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just wanted to refer because she said, you got to listen to the Imus clip. You got to listen to the Imus clip. You got to listen to this. So I found the Imus clip. And then I found a second clip of a year later because Imus, I forgot, was actually on MSNBC for a while.
Yeah, with the show. It was simulcast.
Yeah, they gave him a spot and they bumped him. And then Scarborough was brought on to MSNBC. And then after they bumped Imus, they put Scarborough in his spot.
Oh, that's the part I didn't understand. Interesting.
And then apparently Scarborough was bragging about how he's doing so much better when he wasn't. And this was triggered by Imus's Imus was irked by this, and then he slammed Scarborough because Scarborough also was given a syndicated radio show, which was a flop.
Right.
And that got kicked off the air, and then he ended up stuck on MSNBC for the morning show, and that was the end of it. But before any of that happened, we had the meeting the first time where Imus is welcoming him, welcome to the
family, the MSNBC family.
Yeah, the exact words of mine. So let's listen to what happened. This is the clip one, and this is their exchange that Kaylee wanted us all to listen to.
But you've got to, occasionally we're going to try to help you. And you've just, right, Charles, you've got to listen. So.
Well, tell me what I need to do.
Well, no, you're doing great. I mean, don't be afraid to be funny.
Okay.
Because you are funny. That was I asked you why you were in Congress. You said you'd had sex with the intern, and then you had to kill her.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty risky to say.
What are you going to do?
So it could be, you can be very good. I mean, I actually like Keith Olbermann, and I like Matthews, and it could work out for you.
Well, it's going to be a good lineup. And the guys at NBC and women at NBC looks like they're going to stick with us longer than they did with Donahue, which I'm glad they were impatient with him. And I think it's going to work out. And one of these days, who knows, you may TiVo it.
It was very nice of you to take the time to do this, and I appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
This question. What kind of name is Imus?
Well, I think it's a created name, but let's look him up. Let's do the Book of Knowledge.
This is probably a good idea. Do you have the Book of Knowledge there? I don't have it. Oh, yeah, it's on the floor. I got it.
Book of Knowledge.
When you open it, then it talks.
Don Imus. Let's see what he's got.
Is that his real name? Oh, that's his last name. Okay, yeah, I guess his last name, of course, makes it. What am I thinking? Imus.
John is his real first name. John Donald Imus. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
So
good, that was fun.
So anyway, so that took place, and he had the little back and forth, and he said, yeah, I guess what are you going to do? But I killed her, something. Okay, fine. He could have handled that differently. Let's put it that way. So now a while goes by, and Imus has now been bumped from MSNBC, still has a radio gig, and he hates Scarborough to an extreme. I mean, this clip is really funny.
So yesterday, Dumb and Dumber went on the radio, Scarborough.
Yeah.
And now, let me. I'm going to speak slowly, so Scarborough understands this. And what's her name? And so David Hinckley and others. I'm going to speak slowly. Let's see if you can understand this.
All right.
His radio show is canceled. They're not revamping anything. He will never, ever be on WABC in New York again, ever. And probably never on any Citadel radio station ever again, ever. They're not revamped. It was a story just to let everybody save face. Ask the people. Well, here's what kind of guy Scarborough is. What a disgusting, backstabbing phony. Check it, good, and be my guest. Call Human Resources at NBC. Find out how many people have filed complaints against him. Do that. Then he says, Bigfoot, that when he took over for us, when I got fired, that they quadrupled the ratings. Well, what are the facts?
Well, the fact is they get about the same that they had when you left, and they're getting about half of what you got when you were at your height at MSNBC.
When we were at our height at MSNBC, we were pulling between 700,000 and 800,000 people.
I know.
They're pulling 350 now. That's about what we were pulling. So he's lying about that, and he's obviously lying about getting blown out at the radio. You know why they got blown out? Because they suck. And he's a punk and a phony. That just sounds vicious and mean, but that's exactly what he is.
So how does it all tie back to him killing the intern?
I don't know that it does. I'm not sure. But I do have the one thing. I did a little research on killing the intern, and the only thing that's kind of fishy is that the initial coroner said she was killed by a blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
In other words, somebody clubbed her or something.
Which is hard to do if you just hit your head on the desk.
And he was fired and replaced by a coroner who said that, well, she had a heart condition and surmised that she must have gotten dizzy, even though she was an inveterate jogger and nobody ever seen her pass out. But she got dizzy and fell and hit the desk with her head, and that's how she died. And so that's the controversy right there. In a nutshell.
Well, it's odd because Trump is hammering on that. First of all, who gives a crap about this? Does he really care? Does he really care what they say?
He does. Yeah, he does. Trump, he cares because he does not like Scarborough and Brzezinski ragging on him constantly.
Okay.
Which is all they do on their show.
But for him to do this, he has to know there's something behind it. He doesn't typically, unless it's just.
I agree with you.
You know? That's kind of weird.
Agreement. He's always coming up. That's where they bugged my office. All these things. I mean, he says stuff that is like off the wall, and then I don't know. Sometimes it's 6 months. Sometimes it's a year later. It's always comes true.
Yeah.
So somebody knew there was some hanky panky going on.
But he also knows these guys. They used to hang out at Mar-a-Lago with him. They used to be friends. So, how's Joe doing? Because I of course I talked to Mo about the whole you ain't black thing, and I was curious what you've been tracking Joe. I think
I have been tracking Joe. There's nothing new from Joe. I mean, except the thing I put in the newsletter, where it's possible that there's a stunt double out there. And because you can't tell who it is. It could be anybody. You put sunglasses and a big black mask. It covers your neck and face. You can't see. You don't know who this is.
Someone said that it was possible that he had just, since he was out, he had gotten his Botox treatment. So it was old Joe versus some puffiness for a few days Joe. Because that would have looked like to me, too.
It could be.
I got a little face job. And
the problem is the new Joe in the black mask is worse looking. His face is more of a mess from what I could tell.
And that's the new mask. That is the mask of the tard. It goes all the way up to your eyes. It fits, completely almost like something from medieval times.
Did you say mask of the new tard?
Yes, that is what I said. It just slipped out. I'm sorry. You know what I just ordered? I ordered
Tard
one
mask?
No, I ordered one. It's a costume version for about $40 off of Amazon. It's one of those 18th century beak masks that the doctor would wear looks like a bird with a long beak.
Yes, I've seen these. These are around.
That's the mask I want to go out with.
Yeah, you look like something from a throwback to Egypt or something.
No. Actually, there's this I wanted to mention this fantastic series on Hulu, The Great, which is about Catherine the Great of Russia. And it's kind of Blackadder-ish, where it's, first of all, this show has everything that you want in it. It has sex, violence, food, crazy stuff, killing, murder, war, just nut job, insane things, because it's Russia in the 1700s, and how Catherine the Great came to power, which is a great story. This is 99% fictional, but they've put in the little bits about her inoculating herself with smallpox, with a little bit of the pus because I guess that's what they discovered back then, is if this is basically the whole concept of vaccination, or they weren't doing it with needles. They take a little bit of the pus of one of the pox victims and then rub that on an open wound. And she did that. She did that in front of whoever, the whole court, so they could all see that she was serious about it. But in that was one of those guys with one of those beak masks. It was fantastic, so scary looking. A real one?
Oh, well, I want to see you in this mask.
Oh, yeah, you're getting
By the way, I should mention, I did have a smallpox vaccine when I was a kid, when they still gave them.
Yeah.
And it was not any normal. It was not like nothing they do today.
That's the one that gives you the mark. You have a pox mark.
You get a scar.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's like I don't know how they even get they dip it in something. I'm not sure, but it's a series of as I remember, about 10 needles.
Yeah.
And then they just pound you with these little poke holes. And this was the way it was done. Anyway, back to the clips.
Yeah.
Since we mentioned Kayleigh, I might as well get the Kayleigh clip out of the way. For people who
I was going down Biden, but it's okay. We can.
Well, I mean, I can go back to Biden. The only thing I don't have much.
But I have something. I have something for you.
I do have. Okay, when you go back to Biden, because I want to play this crystal ball clip. Who I don't like any more than I used to, but because the way she talks and acts. But
let's listen to her first.
Crystal ball?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is Crystal Ball talking about.
I think it's relevant. Just looking at the title of the clip, it may be relevant to my clips.
This is she's talking about the Biden foul up, which is what you were going to talk about.
Lockstep in a block, whatever community you're coming from, whatever perspective you represent. If you are going to vote lockstep for the Democratic Party, they are going to take that vote for granted at best. And at worst, they will actively kick you to demonstrate their reasonableness. That's what counter-scheduling is all about. And that's basically the fundamental innovation of the Democratic Party in like the last 30 years, is that political strategy, which has been in some ways successful.
Yeah, and this is all communities. Remember, I mean, both parties take very much of their bases for granted, and, rhetorically, and then whenever they come to D.C., what do? They end up serving the interests of big money.
All right. So, yes, this makes a lot of sense in context. What was discussed on MoFax with Adam Curry was specifically ADOS, so we're not going to pussyfoot around people of color, African-American community. No, it's ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Their vote has been consistent for the Democrat Party, and if you want to know why, you should listen to that podcast, because there's a lot of episodes that talk about it. It has always been a given, and it really broke with Obama when, okay, we got one of ours, even though it's not totally true, but at least he's married to Michelle, in the White House, we're going to get stuff done. And the disappointment was quite large after 8 years of President Obama. And they
got nothing done.
Pretty much nothing for ADOS. And, and at this point, there's been such a movement, and you do have ADOS, the political movement, but I'm really talking about the people themselves, not in the political movement. And they are looking for something. And it's not, what's not going to cut it is a piece of paper that says lift all voices, which is Joe Biden's so-called black agenda, that says, for sure, we're going to do a study to see if reparations are possible. Well, they just had a study. It was a whole, there was an act, a bill, all for the study. It's not going to happen. But his answer was so, it was perceived by many as slave masters. Shut up. I already got your vote. I don't need, just be quiet. I mean, I'm only here for these 15 minutes because I have to. I have the black vote. And that is what I think Crystal Ball is talking about. They don't have the black vote. They don't have the ADOS vote they used to. And already in 2016, the black bloc vote that the Democrat Party counts on had already diminished by several points. And it is Mo's belief, and I'm with him, that a Democrat right now can no longer win because too many ADOS voters are taking the third option, which is not to vote. And so this all happened on Charlemagne the God's radio show, The Breakfast Club. And even though he's a shill for Kamala, he and Joy Reid, who is another horrible person, they say the same thing, even though they all say they're going to vote for Joe Biden. Of course they will. But the message is true.
Do you think there's a risk that
not just Joe Biden, but the Democratic Party in general, just takes for granted that, well, the black people are with us, so we don't really have to give them anything else. They're going to vote for us regardless. Look, they voted for Joe Biden in overwhelming numbers, 6 in 10 black voters, particularly in southern states. They all voted for Joe Biden. We don't need to offer anything more. Do you worry that that is the attitude that Democrats are taking toward the black community?
I mean, I know that's the attitude, you know. I mean, that's why I don't even care about the words and the lip service, and the apology is cool. But the best apology is actually a black agenda. You know, they got to make some real policy commitments to black people. We got to stop acting like the fact that blacks are overrepresented in America when it comes to welfare, poverty, unemployment, homelessness, drug addiction, crime, coronavirus. Like, that's no accident. Like, the whole function of systemic racism is to marginalize black people. And as the great Dr. Claude Anderson says in the book Powernomics, white society has an out of sight, out of mind attitude about racism, and they don't like to have any discussions of substance about systemic racism. So when you have black people who have the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to act like citizens and demand something of our votes, it's a problem. It's like you got, you know, whites telling us to stay in our place, and you got black people saying, oh, stop, now is not the time, you're going to get Trump reelected. It has to come to a point where we stop putting the burden on black voters to show up for Democrats and start putting the burden on Democrats to show up for black voters.
And it was actually Mo had an example, and he said, so what if he played a clip of Biden speaking to AIPAC. And of course, a very different tone with AIPAC than with the Breakfast Club. But part of that is because he's trying to be Mr. Hip Slimmy 5 on the backside, you know, stuff like that. No, you can't do that, Joe. But it reminds people who have been around for a little bit and who are good voting age that this truly has always been this way with, I'll just say it, white liberals. Malcolm X spoke about it quite clearly.
White liberals who have posed as our friends. White liberals who have been eager to point out what the white man in the South has been doing to us, while they themselves here in the North are doing the same thing. They have been making a great fuss over the South, only to blind us to what is happening here in the North. And now that the eyes of America's 20 million blacks, you can easily see that this white fox here in the North is even more cruel and vicious than the white wolf in the South. The southern wolves always let you know where you stand. But these northern foxes pose as white liberals. They pose as your friend, pose as your benefactor, pose as your employer. They pose as your landlord. They pose as the neighborhood merchant. They pose as your lawyer trying to help you. They infiltrate all your organizations, and in this manner, by joining you, they strangle your militant efforts toward freedom, toward justice, and toward equality. They use integration for infiltration.
So the bottom line is that at this point, and Mo's a little younger than I am, I think he's in his early 40s, he is sick and tired of being identified as black. I'm an American. I'm sick and tired of this shit. And the Democrat Party and the media that supports them continue to do this. And I think that no one at this point in time can win the presidency as a Democrat. I think there's going to be at least another 3, if not 5%, not showing up to vote at all. And it will make it impossible for a Democrat to win in the current environment.
Well, I think they have problems. The party has serious problems.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of this, the media is still way behind them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the problem is they can't resist promoting Trump by accident. I mean, they know that this was a problem in the first go around. If they had never written about Trump or put him on the entertainment pages on the HuffPost did that. Oh, let's put him on the entertainment page.
Remember that?
He's running. This is so funny.
It's not politics. Yeah, exactly.
And then they were mocking him and did covering his speeches and getting people to listen to him. They brought it on themselves. I mean, if they didn't want Trump to be president, they should have just ignored him more, or at least played Bernie. They didn't want Bernie either. So they're really working for the bankers. And so they end up, giving Hillary that she doesn't get enough promotion. And when she gets it, it's not It's just it was a mess, and they're doing the same thing. Only now they've got memes. They're trying to throw at Trump. The guy's a creep. He's a rapist. He's worse than Joe. I mean, it's
the interesting thing is that Joy Reid, now armed with this knowledge, she is not ADOS, by the way. Armed with this knowledge.
So is she Haitian or?
Yes, I believe so. Island Pacific,
well, not Pacific Atlantic.
Yes,
she from those islands, Barbados.
One of those. But she recognizes that this is the strategy. You've got to do something for black people. You can't just say you're going to do it, which has been said since the 60s. We're going to do it for you. Promise. You're next. Look, we got one of you. He looks like you, kind of the same shade. Not really like you, but it's going to happen. Nothing happens. Eventually, people get pissed off by that. But she says that the Republicans do the exact same thing, only they're better at it.
Black voters vote for Democrats in overwhelming numbers. And then the Democratic Party and the Democratic candidates, they take for granted, they build it into their number plan that they're already going to get those votes. And so there isn't necessarily an urgency to offer something. That's why I opened my questioning with Karine the way I did, is that, overwhelmingly white voters vote for Republicans, but they still make them an offer. They're like, well, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, this is what Donald Trump was very clear. This is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to get rid of these brown immigrants.
Wow, the way she twists it.
I think that is one for the archives to play back to her one of these days.
She's got something going on.
That was the promise.
Joy Reid,
the promise was we're getting rid of brown people.
Joy Reid was born in Brooklyn, and her father was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
There you go.
And her mom was from British Guiana.
There you go.
She's
not
truly
ADOS.
African American. But not ADOS by any means.
Correct.
So she's African more than she is ADOS.
But also, if you look at all of Biden's plans in his Lift All Voices, which of course is
all lame.
But it's also meant to speak to ADOS and black Americans. Lift All Voices, not trying to do a church thing on you people, but oh yeah, I am.
Well, he did that thing. He did the Hillary voice. Remember, we don't have that. Where's that clip?
I got Hillary.
I'm gonna do this. I can't even do it. Not even close.
It's Hillary. I ain't going nowhere. I'm tired. Here we go. That was Biden. Oh, that's interesting. I have one of Biden mimicking her. That's pretty crazy.
I think that's the clip. He's not mimicking her. That he's not like making fun of her. He's just doing the same voice.
Here we go.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Exactly. But if you look at his plan,
you have the Biden one. You don't have the Biden one.
Well, no, I don't. Not handy. It would be a little harder to find. But the what the hell was I going to say? Was my his plan. So in his plan, he quickly moves from Lift All Voices, hey ADOS or African Americans, to people of color and yes, minorities. And before you know it, you're halfway through the document, and somebody who has a gender identification issue is included in his plans. This is what always happens. That is the problem. It's like we're going to do something for black people. And let's just say that in 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago means ADOS, American descendants of slavery. We're going to do this for you. But then it's immigrants from Mexico, from South America. Everybody gets in on it because then it's moved to minorities. And you can only do that for so long. And I think what you're seeing here is it's a real protest, and I believe that they have no idea. In fact, they don't have any idea. Here's a whole bunch of Democratic stooges in a little not a supercuts, but a montage defending his racist comments.
I'm a little revved up, okay, because this is a distraction. Vice President Biden spoke to his comments on the Breakfast Club. He apologized. He clarified. He said he shouldn't have been so cavalier. But we need to move on and talk about the issues and what's really at stake here.
The vice president shouldn't have said it. He apologized for it. But I really think the gall and the nerve of President Trump
I believe that Joe Biden was incorrect in saying the statement, "You ain't black." But I also believe that his apology was sufficient.
Well, that apology was given swiftly. He was saying, "I'm sorry, I was being too cavalier. I apologize."
To his credit, Joe Biden recognized within minutes that he had gotten carried away.
I think he has apologized, and he should have apologized. It was like, one of those jokes that just falls flat.
This is almost the end of the interview, and you need to understand the context.
I mean, Biden made an error. He apologized for it, and just move on. I mean, we can obsess on this, but this is, in the scheme of things, this is not going to amount to diddly squat.
Mm-hmm. That's the guy who would
He never apologized. We played the clip of his so-called apology. Yeah. He never said, "I'm sorry," and everything. He went on and didn't apologize.
Exactly. And, you and I, we're not on black Twitter. I mean, we don't. I see a little bit of it. I got a gray Twitter because of my work with Mo. But this exploded, and people are just like not taking it anymore. Not taking it. Speaking of old white guys, Donald Trump, once again, I think they're trying the 25th Amendment on him. There's a new one, a new gambit. PSP. There are Reddit threads and all kinds of Twitter threads about the
PSP.
Progressive supranuclear palsy, which I know 50,000 people a year get this in the United States. It is an uncommon, progressive supranuclear palsy, PSP, is an uncommon brain disorder that affects movement, control of walking, your gait. This is where it comes from. So there's all these pictures of Trump, and I don't know if it's lately or something that someone just noticed and now is being amplified. If you see him standing on the profile, he's leaning forward a ridiculous amount almost. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, I think it's part to do with his big gut, and he's trying to make himself look thinner.
No, this is a PSP, according to the smart people on the internet, and it makes sense.
On Reddit.
Yep. So it affects movement. Here we come. Look at the list. Control of walking, your gait. Balance, speech, swallowing, vision, mood and behavior, and thinking. The disease results from damage to nerve cells in the brain. The disorder's long name indicates the disease worsens, progressive, and causes weakness, palsy, by damaging certain parts of the brain above nerve cell clusters called nuclei. That's why supranatural.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now, personally, before this PSP meme came up, people were already saying, "What's going on?" I think it's possible he has lifts in his shoes.
He's already tall.
Yeah, but next to Melania, I wonder if he was just that inch or two that he wanted to, because it is kind of raised up from his heels.
Well, someone needs to take a good photo of his shoes, because you can tell someone if they're wearing lifts, because you can see.
Yeah, well, you're the guy. You're the guy with the shoe. You noticed that dude with the huge boots on. Was it Bloomberg? Bloomberg had the boots.
Yeah, he had the boots.
And it would make sense for Trump to make fun of him, because wat je zegt bij jezelf, maybe he's just under 6 feet. I don't know. But I don't think it's a brain disorder that affects maybe 50,000 people a year. That would be very wishful thinking.
This is all wishful thinking. These guys are just hoping to God that there's some way of getting this guy out, because it's you can hear the desperation in their voices, because the public at large, they like Trump.
Yeah. They seem to,
but there are moments, because you hear, they could have handled this better. I don't like this staying at home. This is, I'd like to get somebody else in there. But the problem the Democrats have is their alternative, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is really, the guy is like, we used to do a segment on whether he's drunk or not. And that was years ago.
I got tired of playing the jingle. It wore out. We played it so much.
Drunk or not drunk.
Young people, I'm talking 20 to 30, I am noticing a trend of them being very disillusioned. Quotes such as, "The government's trying to kill me one way or the other. See no alternative, are not stupid. See Joe. say, yeah, he's a dork, an idiot, a racist too, but I'm going to vote for him anyway just to get Trump out. I don't believe it. I don't think they're going to vote either. And half of them.
That's not the feedback I'm getting out here on the coast.
Well,
the coast for the millennials.
That's why we have this show, the coast versus
the millennials go like the millennials go. The millennials
go like
talk like this. They say Joe Biden's too damned old. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. The guy's he's an old man.
Really? So what are they going to do? Vote or not vote?
Probably not vote.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the Democrats
vote for
will
Trump.
lose.
Some will vote for Trump. They get. The last ditch desperation is this mail-in ballots.
Yes.
Let's mail ballots to everybody. Maybe they'll send them back, or maybe somebody will take them from them and fill them out for them. And
do you have anything? Do you have anything on this on the mail-in?
Nothing new. Nothing new.
I got something that was quite telling. It's a very short clip, although it is. It fits the Trump fan voters supporters vision of the Democrats. Is quite a telling clip. Now this is from some years ago, but it is about mail-in voting, and you're going to hear the representative from Florida, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, huge Democrat. She ran the Democrat Party when Hillary lost. Even though she tried to rig it all. And here's what she thought about mail-in voting years ago.
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz argues a mail-in ballot has wrong written all over it.
It'd be a risky experiment for us with an election that has stakes as high as a presidential election does. We've never done a mail-in ballot statewide.
Wasserman Schultz is worried about signature fraud, disenfranchising college students, getting addresses wrong, and having private donors instead of states footing the bill. She favors seating the delegates already chosen.
There's a way to solve this without totally redoing this and causing more chaos.
So the typical response from right-leaning Republican Trump Twitter is, hypocrites, look at you, same thing, try it, don't like it, you want it, no, you do like it. What I'd like to point out is that from this clip, it is obvious that the Republicans were trying to pull the same damn trick. So they're all douchebags. And any of the Republicans saying, whoa, this can't be, they were all in on it when it benefited them when it came down to Florida. I think that was the Hanging Chad's election, possibly. So they're all a-holes, all of them.
Well, we know that.
I know, but it's good to remind people that the Republicans pulled this stunt, too.
And it's possible that the Republicans have the upper hand on the fraud. We don't know that it's not, because there was a special election recently that was a mail-in ballot.
Yeah.
And it was won by the Republican, and Trump was bragging about it. Oh, yeah, a mail-in ballot. And so we don't know who's – but the thing is, it doesn't matter who's the side on the fraudsters, who's the fraudster is. It's ripe for it. It's asking for it. And the people that keep saying, oh, there's no evidence of this, or it's never happened, and that's what triggered this whole thing with Twitter, because it was a Trump tweet saying, hey, the mail-in ballot thing's a bad idea. And that's when Twitter decided to put a little bug on the bottom saying, oh, you should check this before you believe any of this, because it's not and there's this litany going on there by the Democrats, which never really happened with the Republicans, that there's never been any fraud. Oh, this is nonsense. You're imagining it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, it's just very annoying to witness this to me. Well, anyways, so any more Biden stuff? I don't know if I have any Biden stuff. I didn't do Biden today, unfortunately.
No,
I have some good overall clips, and I also have the Kayleigh clip.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention just one quick thing
about Biden.
No, about another douchebag. We missed it. The Webby Awards. Somehow, I mean, we weren't nominated.
Oh my God! No! Oh, I don't know how this could
obviously
happen.
Now it was the Webby Awards from home this year, presented by Patton Oswalt, who is the you know him. He's from Modern Family, but he's been in many things. Who is a huge Trump hater. But
he hates Trump.
I wanted to let you know that this was from home, so people dialed in, and Michelle Obama, of course. And I know a lot about this because my friend J.B. Miller runs Empire Entertainment in New York, and he produces the show. He produces a lot of these big shows for organizations, and he's really good at getting talent. That's really most of what they do. And guess who else was on this wonderful show to hand out an award?
Her Instagram live show, Bright Minded Live.
It was Demi Lovato, and now... Why didn't it start? Why did it stop playing?
Congratulations.
Stay lit in dark times.
Here we go. That's Here Comes Tom Hanks, I think. No, shoot. And here we go. This is how it aired, by the way.
Have I pushed the right?
And here is our next hero.
Love and serve.
No. Here it is. This person. No. Oh, shoot. It's everyone's in except the guy I wanted to show you. I'm doing this live. I'm doing it live. Here we go. Hit it.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Tony Fauci, and I am here to present some good news at a time of great stress as we struggle to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. I'm excited about the opportunity to shine some light on one of the many young people who have stepped up and helped us throughout this difficult time. The 24th Annual Webby Awards will honor Avi Schiffman as the 2020 Person of the Year in recognition of his creation of ncov2019.live to track the spread of COVID-19 across the world.
So he's there to present an award to some incredible, stupid website made by a young person who was our Webby 2020 award winner. Fauci, doesn't he have other things to do? Doesn't he have masks to check or vaccines to create? I don't want him hanging out with Hollywood stars anymore. This is important.
Yeah, he's always been this way. And the thing is, why has he got the only good audio? He's not even an audio guy.
He's set up for it, man. And he had
somebody
somebody
without a mask.
He pretty much had a set. He was ready to go and knew exactly what it was doing. So
I'm glad you played that.
Yeah, well, it galls me. It galls me the worship of this guy, and he's a dick. He's no good. He's a shill for big pharma. He's $100 million heir, 100 millionaire. He's got a lot of money, and everyone thinks that he's the cat's meow. Well, enjoy your prison home, slave, because Fauci put you there with Burks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we do anything else, let's do the. This is the NBC didn't have a good slam Trump moment, so they couldn't focus on anything he did. So they do a rundown when they have this problem.
Mm-hmm.
They put together a rundown, which really is like the kind of a news summary on the nightly news of Trump and everything else in between, with Trump brought in, and then let's talk about this, and then let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about this, talk about Trump. And it's all one story. And we haven't heard one for a while. This is the definitive weekly Trump rundown, and they're fast. They get it over with in there's a minute and a half. It's the entire report.
The president will sign an executive order concerning social media as he escalates his feud with Twitter. Here's Peter Alexander.
Ahead of today's scrubbed launch, President Trump touring NASA's campus, striking an uplifting note.
It's a great achievement for our country, and our country's number one.
Members of the president's family traveling with him wearing masks. The First Lady earlier seen wearing her mask aboard Marine One. Their visit coming the very day the country marks that tragic milestone, 100,000 lives lost to the coronavirus. And today the president hosted New York Governor Andrew Cuomo at the White House.
It was about how do we supercharge the reopening, especially in New York, which has been hardest hit.
No drama there, but the president is escalating another battle with Twitter after the company, for the first time, posted fact-check labels on a pair of the president's tweets about mail-in ballots. President Trump accusing Twitter of interfering in the 2020 presidential election, and today threatening to strongly regulate or close them down. A president has no authority to shut down a private company, and the First Amendment limits the government's ability to regulate free speech. Meantime, some top Republicans are telling President Trump to knock it off as he again today pushed a debunked conspiracy theory that former Republican congressman and Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough had something to do with the death of an aide in 2001. Lori Klasutis died after an abnormal heart rhythm caused her to collapse and hit her head in Scarborough's Florida office. Scarborough was in Washington at the time. Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. He's the commander-in-chief of this nation, and it's causing great pain to the family of the young woman who died.
As for SpaceX, late tonight, the president tweeted that he plans to fly back to Florida on Saturday for the next scheduled launch. Lester?
It's interesting.
Okay, stop. Wait, I got to give you this. This is the list of topics in this 149 clip. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything. He starts with a tease about Twitter. Oh, Twitter. He's upset about Twitter. That was Lester. He throws it to the correspondent. It starts with the space launch. Then he starts talking about masks. And then he starts talking about 100,000 lost. Then he starts talking about Cuomo. And then he talks about the reopening. Then the Twitter fact check. And then the comment that he has no authority to do this. And then he goes off to the top Republicans saying, knock it off. And then they discuss Scarborough with a Liz Cheney clip talking about the pain. And then back to the launch. What kind of a report is this?
It truly is bizarre, isn't it? It's like your daily Trump insanity lineup.
There is no focus.
Well, is there no focus, or is that exactly the laser focus that they want to portray?
I don't even. You come away from. Does anyone come away from it with a love or a hate of Trump? I mean, they do try to finish it with a Liz Cheney kind of a slam, and top Republicans tell him to knock it off as if he's out of control. And now he's flying back to Florida to watch another aborted launch. I don't know there's some trick to. They're doing something.
Well, I don't think it's very good. Isn't that exactly what they did in 2015 leading up to the election? Isn't this exactly what happened? And by the way, what will someone remember from that report? Oh, cool. Elon's doing that rocket thing. Saturday? Okay. So if they're trying to do it, and the president's going to be there. Let's tune in to watch that asshole land. Stuff like that. No, I think that they are making the same mistakes. They can't help themselves. The mainstream system is set up to deliver that way. And Trump cracked the code.
Well, they definitely aren't doing it. I don't know what the point of that report was, to be honest about it. Too much stuff.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You can.
No.
I heard the thunk.
No.
I could have talked into it.
No, because they start singing right away. You were talking over it, not into it. Try it again.
I think it was too much in that report.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And talking about too much in the report, we have lots of people that donated a little bit of money, and we're going to thank each and every one of them for all the support they're giving us. And it begins. I think I'm going to go down. We did have a special program for a $49 donation, which a number of people took part in, which is the numerological number you get if you decode the word Karen. And I think we'll continue this for a while until it craps out.
This, by the way, was very funny. So explain the Karen donation again for people who do not receive the newsletter, which is their error, of course.
Yeah, they should be getting the newsletter. But the Karen donation is the idea that we should hate honor or hate celebrate this the meme Karen. The Karen is the busybody, the person that is turning you in for not wearing a mask, the person calling the police all the time, the one, there's just a horrible type of person which has developed in this country ever since the election of Trump.
Not just this country.
Yeah, around the world.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's do a special Karen donation, and I did a numerology on the name. This type where the letter A is 1, the letter B is 2, and you add these numbers together, and you end up with 49.
Which is an incredible coincidence. I enjoy that very much. Which is our cutoff number for anonymity.
Right, but I did say that if you're going to donate the $49, because I know people don't like the idea if they really don't want to be anonymous. And this is kind of an artificial construct, that I would just read the first names of everybody who donated $49, which I'll do at the end of this.
Right. No location, just the first names.
No location, just first names, and
Perfect.
But we have first and last name with Jeffrey Steckroth in Norfolk, Virginia, $150. And he says, I would like to challenge Travis Randolph's donation request from episode 1245 on Joe Rogan's behalf. Not because he doesn't need help, and surely he's already a listener, but it is cool if he speaks for himself. Oh, but is it cool if he speaks for himself? In other words, I think. Probably should have qualified this with all due respect, or some other trivial bullshit.
Why are you even reading this? What is this?
Oh, this is a good question. And then he says, irregardless, hello, Mr. Okay, you're right. I shouldn't be reading this. I don't know why. I was just in a reading mood.
Yeah, it's a discombobulated note. It's a discombolated note. Yeah, I should have.
Sir Lucas of the Lost Bits comes in with 120. Anyway, thanks, Jeffrey. Yes. $128.64. There's absolutely no reason for me to be reading that.
Nope.
On the other hand, with Melanie Dreiss from Colorado Springs, Colorado, who wrote a note and sent it and mailed it in. Unfortunately, she wrote more than one note. She wrote 3 notes, different notes on different sheets, and with a card, I believe. And she has one note on her glued to the check, which I will read. Their other notes are kind of lengthy, but they're interesting. This was show 1244 or the one after. Except for an occasional Jordan S. Peterson podcast, No Agenda is the only podcast I listen to.
There you go.
And certainly no MSM to clutter my brain. Thanks for all you and Adam do, Melanie. And she has something to say about, it's either her note. I'll look for these notes and maybe read them later, but some other people wrote these into with a new take on the sanity that the show provides.
You teased this earlier, but you don't know where the note is, or it's coming up?
No, I'll find the note, but I'm gonna get through these first. Sir Herb Lamb, Earl of Georgia, and it doesn't have to be part of the read. It can be any time. 8008 in Sugar Hill, Georgia.
Boob.
Martin in Bellingham, Washington, 7937. Roland Boulder in Den Bosch, Netherlands. Roland Boulder?
Builder.
Okay.
Builder. What? No, I'm just laughing at it. He says, Adam Auerrucker, which I will not translate, but it's something good friend dudes would say to each other. Or in Britain, hey, old wanker.
Martinus Kroijman in Dublin, Ireland. Not sure how to pronounce that.
Yeah,
75.
Mark Kroijmans, and I'm pretty sure he is Dutch, but he's living in Dublin, needs a dedouching.
You've been dedouched.
Oh, he was called out by Danilo de Sazwa for listening and not donating yet to the best podcast in the universe. Okay, Mark, so we got called out, and he says, I want the dedouching, but he also wants a jobs karma because he lost his job this last week. So we'll do that for you after these donations. So lots of people need that, of course. And please leave a message to Danilo. My mom says, hi, you douchebag. Okay. That's a new one. Rather than, hey, I know your mom. It's like, no, my mom says you're a douchebag.
Jesse Smith comes in from Woonsocket, Rhode Island with 6969. Mm-hmm. Michael Zavala in Concord, California, right down the street from me, 6666. Ben 73 DKF5 SWC $64 in Greenville, Texas.
Yeah,
73.
His birthday as well. 73's Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie Charlie.
Michael Zavala has a birthday too, I should mention.
Yes.
Gregory Forsyth Foreman in Bromley, Kent. Another Brit. We got a lot of Brits listening. Good thing. 5555. Dame Meredith of the Fair Order of Onimus. Oh, she's the one who just got knighted or damed. She's in the Order of Onimus.
Nice. Oh, but before
she's in Manassas, Virginia.
Gregory Forsyth Foreman reminded us that Sir Chris Wilson celebrated his birthday yesterday. Of course, we had him on the list on Sunday in advance, just so we know that we did thank our drunkard minstrel.
Dennis Weineck in Minnetonka, Minnesota, 54. Tristan Martens.
And needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
I'd like to call out my brother-in-law, Jess, as a douchebag. Douchebag. Know you're listening. Then he makes a threat. He threatens. He says, "More to come."
Holy crap! Them's fighting
words. Your friend Dennis, you better be careful.
Yeah, no kidding.
And the following people are $50 donors. Name and location: Milwaukee, Wisconsin has Tristan Martens, Nicholas Cast, parts unknown. Sir Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. Brett Morris in Rockwall, Texas. What a name for a town. Jennifer Weiberg in Mexico, Missouri. Sir Richard Gardner in Chicago. And Baroness Susan Johnson in Hillsboro, Oregon, who also sent a note in. And I want to thank her for that. So now we have the we have $49.99 by a couple of people, which is not part of the deal, so they don't get mentioned. Now I'm going to mention everyone who gave $49, first name only. And this is a part of the Karen special donation, $49 even. Terry, Olaf, Joanne, Yancey, Keith, Eric, Casey, Anders, Andy, Marco, Thomas, Peter, Robert, Stuart, Timothy, Jason, Josh, David, Adriana, Amy, Cohen. That's interesting. Joel, Keith, Mark, Benjamin, Jason, another Jason, Holly, Sven, Joseph, Anthony, Pascal, and that's it. Good little group.
Good group. Good group. I like this idea very much. I wouldn't mind this carrying over for a bit. I think Karen donations are a good way for people to get in if they want to do something pretty much anonymous and still have some fun. I will point out, I've done a search. There are 0 people who supported the show today whose name is Karen. However, this name was most popular in 1950. See if I can see. 1958. There was a peak in 1965 where a lot of girl babies were named Karen. It's really dropped off since then. So most of these Karens are, close to boomer status.
Well, they're middle-aged. Okay. The boomer thing ended. I think they're all boomers.
76 is where it's really ended. But the peak was 55. As I said, with 65 a little as it's already going down, and so it's been pretty flat for the past since 82. Well, it has to be
attributed to something. There was somebody famous named Karen, probably in the early 50s or late 40s, that triggered the use of the name to such an extreme. This is like the Seth mystery. I still don't know what triggered that.
Right. Well, we had this. No, I think someone wrote in about that.
Josh is another one. I don't know where that came from. And by the way, so that JC and Jesse named the boy baby Theodore. We call him Theodorable.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that same thing you're looking at. It started going up about 5 years ago for some unknown reason, and it's way up, and it's on the way up. So this is not original thinking on their part.
Mm.
It's millennials that were naming their kids Theodore.
I was so sure that someone had sent us a note about the one of the possible Seths that could have sparked that one. I'm not sure about this Karen. We'll have to find out. Karen Carpenter? That was 70s. That was 70s. Yeah, stop guessing, Troll Room. You're confusing me. Well, thank you.
So it's got to be somebody from the 40s or early 50s, and Karen Carpenter was one of the women that was named Karen during this period because of their progenitor.
Exactly. Thank you very much to our producers who have helped us once again, and of course our special Karen producers, but also more people under 50 who do that for Karen producers.
Special Karen producers.
Yeah, SKPs, the special Karen producers. You can call yourself an SKP if you want, but also thanks to people who have different subscriptions or on longer-term programs. That is really appreciated, and they work as well. Many people we've seen who've made it to a knight and damehood with that. And for those who need it, a reminder, for those who need it, we'll give you a jobs karma first.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And a reminder that we'll be here again on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday. Oh, no agenda.
Ending the month of May, just about there. We do have a couple of birthdays to celebrate. Kylie Irwin says happy birthday to her boyfriend, Sir Andy, from Terrigal Beach. Sir Drumcat Brian Vaughn turns 55 on the 30th. Michael Savala celebrates tomorrow. We have Ben 73 to K5 SWC. His birthday is today. I believe he's 55 as well. And Jennifer Weberg says happy birthday to her boyfriend, Steve Fairchild, as do all of us here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
And I think, yes, we do have one.
Title changes, turn and face the slate. Title changes. Don't wanna be a douchebag.
Title changes today on deck. Sir Robert Goshko becomes the Duke of Western Canada. Please, all hail the Duke of Western Canada. Dame Meredith Madden Rawls, as you know, she is an official Order of Animus Dame, so we from now on shall refer to as Dame Meredith the Fair Order of Animus for Sir Dogpatch of Animus and Lower Slobovia. Then we do have, we have two knightings, actually, so I will grab my blade here. Do you have?
Yes.
You have that one over there, next to the shades.
Hold on.
Yeah, there it is. Oh. Up on the podium, please, Craig Dennison and ITM OMA. Both of you now qualified to join this illustrious group here at the No Agenda Roundtable, the Knights and Dames, and I'm very proud to pronounce to KC, Sir Craig of the River City and Sir OMA, Noble Knight of the number 5 T box. For you, we have Hookers and Blow, we've got Rent Boys and Chardonnay, we have Fairy Nectar and Dots Pretzels, Dr. Pepper, and Quick Handy if you want one, Goat Chops and Goat Milk, Beer and Blunts, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Geishas and Sake, Vodka, Vanilla, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Sparkling Cider and Escort, Ginger Ale and Gerbils. But of course, at the peak of the mountain is our mutton and mead, which everybody loves here at the round table of the Knights and Dames. We welcome our two knights and request that they head over to noagendanation.com/ring so Eric the Shill can get all the gear out to you appropriately, your signet ring, your sealing wax, and your official certificate.
No agenda.
You know it. It's like a party. Well, as the lockdowns subside, the meetups will start coming back. The back office has sent me the latest approved meetups from noagendameetups.com. Saturday, the Kansas City Meetup live music post-lockdown edition. And that will be at Knucklehead Saloon in Kansas City, Missouri. And here's a bit from the noagendameetups.com website. Knuckleheads is open again for live shows, but with, quote, social distancing guidelines and, quote, enhanced cleaning procedures in place. What does this mean? Well, join us for our usual last Saturday of the month gatherings as we find out together. The show is free, but pre-registration is required. Please RSVP on noagendameetups.com. And that is Sir Spencer Wolf of Kansas City and Dame DeLorean who will be hosting that. And I look forward to the next 512 local meetup. I think Austin should also. We have bars at 50% now, restaurants at 50%, and bars I'm not too sure, but they're open, and no one cares. So, except for the Karens.
Well, I still think this is a great gag. No one has reported doing it. Go into one of these things and have a kind of a clear squeeze bottle filled with distilled water, and you put one drop of blue dye in it or red dye, but blue is probably best. One drop of blue food grade dye, and then spray the counter and then wipe the counter down, spray, and wipe, and then spray the food with it, and then spray your drink with it, and spray it into the drink, and then spray it all over the place and see what people do.
Another socializing tip from your No Agenda show at the No Agenda Meetups.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the Knights and Dames. You want to be where the same.
It's like a party.
It's like a party.
That sure is. NoAgendaMeetups.com. Oh, you got the same Amazon thing I did. We should probably play that.
Yes, the Amazon, somebody put together a super clips. It's really only 10 but it's a
11 stations. 11 stations.
Yeah, it's 11 stations, and it was done by some group of, I don't know what they were even complaining about, but this is like it's like a native ad done by a whole bunch of stations, almost all the same, about Amazon and how great they are. It didn't get that much traction, but it got enough to get a super clip out of it.
Yeah, I think the point of it is, it's brought to you as a news story by these local stations. Some NBC, I saw on ABC, and there maybe one or two Fox. The local stations have different sales, and so it's not a network thing, but you have media buying agencies. Okay, I want to have a native ad. I want the 6 o'clock news. I want these markets to do this story on us, how great we are as Amazon. I want them to present it as a news story.
And it should be mentioned, the guys who produced this, which are left-wingers, they showed that a couple of stations played it 2 and maybe 3 times in one instance.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Millions of Americans staying at home are relying on Amazon.
Amazon has transformed its operations in response to COVID-19 to protect employees and keep packages flowing.
Amazon has transformed its operations in response to COVID-19 to protect employees and keep packages flowing.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy while still delivering those packages to your doorstep.
The company is keeping employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy. The company is keeping its employees safe and healthy.
It spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
It has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
Amazon says it has spent $800 million on increased wages and overtime pay during the pandemic.
Every single one of Amazon's workforce of nearly 1 million people has played a critical role in making these changes happen.
I hope that they feel that passion that we have for safety,
so they can stay safe and healthy while you do too.
It's so good.
You do too.
But the thing is, there's so many of those news stories on your local news, and if you just saw that story, you wouldn't necessarily think it was bought and paid for.
That's the problem with all mainstream media today.
It's all bought and paid for.
And it includes the New York Times. They have native ads within that newspaper.
Yeah, from China. The whole China Gazette,
the whole China
everything's in
well,
there.
That's different, but it's a different buy and it's a different process. But
while we're on that,
it's pretty sleazy.
So it's the same mainstream media owned by China and the pharmaceutical industry, who brought forth the immediate turnaround in results of or the published results of the Moderna proposed mRNA vaccine, a type of vaccine which has never been tried before. I believe it works at the genetic level. Very skeptical if this is going to work, but we had an announcement. Oh my God, it looks like it's going to work. This is fantastic. It's very exciting. The president, oh yes, we're gonna have it before January. It's going to be fabulous. Over on CNBC, which is the financial channel where they discuss Moderna, it's public, and it appears a lot of the insiders got out, sold a lot of stock before this announcement, but they brought on.
And why would they do that?
I have no idea, but they brought on Dr. William Hasseltine, a former professor at Harvard Medical School. And this is just a part of the interview. You can watch the whole thing. It's in the show notes, nashownotes.com.
Moderna's claim of favorable results in its vaccine trial is an example of publication by press release. He joins us now. Dr. Hazeltine, thanks so much for joining us. I said the word data at the top of that intro. Your criticism is that there was not sufficient data in their release, and because of that, the market was able to applaud the results perhaps more than they should have done.
I would say several things about the announcement. It was premature. Only 8 people had been studied. It was not impressive, and it was opaque. If a CFO had tried to get away with the same kind of announcement, it would have been greeted by derision and possibly by investigation.
But isn't the point that some of these companies, Doctor, are trying to get these announcements out on purpose as fast as they possibly can for the benefit of public health, for the benefit of plans to reopen economies, for the benefit of trying to get, say, treatment information out there, and vaccine goes along with that too? I mean,
it's too bad she didn't mention for the benefit of the pharmaceutical industries who are just putting this bull crap out to make the stock price go up. Do you think that's what it could be? Could it be? Did you think of that, Miss Financial Lady?
We're in a pandemic where, we have people in the emergency rooms fighting this right now.
The question is not that we're not an emergency. We know we're an emergency. In an emergency, it's even more important to be clear about what you know and what you don't know. There is a process which is vastly accelerated. The moment the data is put together, the moment it can be presented, it's on the internet for free. Everybody can see it. Moderna did not follow that. We don't know what happened. You don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Nobody, maybe a few people in their company know what happened. We can't see that data. Even in an emergency, that's not warranted. There are many processes that we have put in place that allow global sharing of data. That's not the issue. The issue is, do we know what happened? And the answer is, we don't.
So if you were excited about the vaccine coming because you heard about it on the news, 8 people tried it and the results weren't published, but it's going to be great. Woo! And that's your media, and that's what you're going to base your health on.
One of these guys grew a second head. I think we know that much. That came
out. Yeah. Oh, well. Oh, my goodness.
All right. So let's take a look at, whoops. Oh, well, I'm not going to look at anything. Never mind. Keep talking because I grabbed the wrong wrong sheet of clips.
Okay. While we're talking about insider trading, the FBI has ordered her to hand over documents regarding her husband's stock trades. Dianne Feinstein, she's good for $300 million, I think, or at least 100.
No, way up there.
Incredibly wealthy.
Her and Pelosi are both loaded. They both live in the same area of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Kayleigh clip. Let's do the Kayleigh clip. This is the gratuitous Kayleigh clip. I'm going to do these until I'm sick of them.
It's not gratuitous. People are demanding them from you.
Well, as long as they keep demanding, I'll keep doing them.
Okay.
And I think I'll get one per show. I mean, I could get more, but I think this is a classic example. And somebody was pointing out that somebody pointed out in an email to me something interesting. They said everybody has their own tricks when they don't know quite what to say, how they stall.
Mm-hmm.
And how Trump always repeats himself 2 or 3 times as he's trying to gather his thoughts. So, yeah, it was a very good idea. As he's gathered. So he'll do that.
Right.
It's a tremendous idea. Well, she has this thing where she just has kind of a rote way of just slamming somebody in a very kind of a – this I think she got from Kellyanne Conway, because I think Kellyanne Conway, when she was Kellyanne Fitzpatrick in the 90s, had these tricks that she would use, and so it never sounded like there was never an and a long pause. It was just and here she goes, and you hear it at the very beginning when this guy asks her for the second time about something that she decided to elaborate on it, but before she decided to elaborate, she blasts him.
He successfully defeated the pandemic.
I think you're asking the wrong question. The right question is where did
That's
the data?
I want to ask, Haley. So please don't tell me I'm asking.
And I answered your question once, but if you ask it twice, it doesn't make it any better of a question. So I'll respond in kind. I've given you one answer. I'll continue to extrapolate upon that. That he always listened to the science. The president, when Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx said you need to shut down the economy, that was hard for the president. In a typical year, 120,000 people die of suicide and drug overdose. It's in a typical year. And doctors have said when you shut down an economy for an extended period of time, that number gets greater. People don't show up for their cancer diagnoses. There are a litany of results when you close down an economy, but closing down the economy for this amount of time kept us far below the 2.2 million number. And as we start to reopen, we keep in mind the people who are missing their screening appointments, the people who are succumbing to suicide and drug overdose because of economic hardship. This president made the right choice. It was a delicate balance, and he did it exactly as he should, guided by data. And we are far below 2.2 million dead Americans because of the actions of President Trump.
Oh, man. Okay. Kaylee, get out of town, girl. She's now touting that we did better than the 2 million because of Trump. Shut up. Shut up. We did better because they changed the model to 200,000. That's bull.
I'm not saying it's not bull. We're just analyzing her technique.
No, I'm analyzing the content.
Well, you can analyze the content of a press conference from Trump. I mean, come on. It's never going to be anything interesting or good. And these media guys don't ask good questions. They don't bring anything interesting up. It's always the same talking points.
Yep.
That question, by the way, that he asked for the second time was the third time it was answered at that press conference.
Of course.
Somebody else asked it.
Come on,
these
man.
numbers are blah, blah, blah. And then he asked it, and then he asked it a second time, and that's when she blew up at him.
Yeah.
But that was her. She said that already. She already went through this, and she just keeps adding on to it.
Oh, I get you. I get you. It just bothers me that they're adding to the whole problem. Yeah, I know. I know. I'm expecting way too much. I know. I shouldn't do that.
You are expecting way too much. You're the optimist. You're the starry-eyed optimist going, oh, my God, I don't understand. Well, they just give us the truth. We'll all be good with that.
Oh, gee, do you really think if I was truly that guy, you'd be hanging out with me for 12 years? I think not.
That's why I'm not hanging out with you. We do this show because you are an optimist. I'm
toxic to you. I'm toxic to you. That's what it is.
I'm an optimist. I am a real, genuine optimist, and I see nothing but this. None of this is good. And I'm an optimist. You're a starry-eyed optimist. You actually think that things are going to change for the better.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to end the show because, by the way, Amazon.com is down. This could be
okay, since you brought this up, don't end the show yet.
All right.
I'm a little irked by Amazon. What is the difference between Amazon before the pandemic and Amazon today? They got a few more orders. Why? None of my 2-day deliveries are coming. One comes the next day. One comes a week later.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the worst. And we should get our Prime money back.
Yes. Where's my Prime? This is a jip. They guarantee second-day delivery on everything, and I'm not getting it.
Oh, you noticed that, did you? I've almost stopped ordering from Amazon and Instacart. I have saved so much money. We've not spent anything.
Well, now that the Prime membership has gone up to over $100, I have my doubts. But I will say I do like the Prime Video service, and I don't know, this $100 a year is cheaper than Netflix, or it's about the same price. I do want to plug one show, and I believe it's on Amazon. Could be on Netflix. It's called World War I. And you like the Catherine the Great thing. Well, this is along those lines of historical, but it's really based on the facts. And their analysis of the beginning of World War I is a little more than I knew about. I'm learning something from this show. It's a British show. And it goes into great details. And I want to remind everybody that this war, and then when you watch this thing, you have to remember that this period of time was a period of globalization. They had the same idealism. They wanted to globalize. Everything's in one world government. We're all going to be happy campers. Let's have no more borders.
What's it called again? It's just called World War I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just look at this knowing, I said, well, this was the last shot at globalization. They're doing it again. And this is what the result was.
Well, that's great. And I think you should give us a little more synopsis on Sunday's show, because everyone's going to be watching Catherine the Great, because how does that weigh against kinky sex, murder, war, food, and humor? I'm sorry.
There's a lot of murder.
Yeah, okay. And there's also huzzah! There you go. That'll do it for today. Another longer show, but what else are you going to do in these crazy days of the COVID lockdown? We return on Sunday. Please remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. And I am coming to you from almost free Austin, Texas, here in Opportunity Zone 33 of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region number 6 on all the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, where we're celebrating Karen, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We've got Mo Facts with Adam Curry. The episode is talking about next on NoAgendaStream.com. And with thanks to Ronaldo Gonzalez and Phantomville for our end-of-show mixes. Until Sunday, everybody, adios, mofos! And such.
Azithromycin is a macrolide antibiotic that has antiviral properties.
Zinc doesn't increase bioavailability in the classical sense, or the amount of drug that your body absorbs.
What is your assessment of the global response so far?
You ain't black.
I want to stress again, this will kill you.
How's everything in California with the road?
I cannot stress enough. It will kill you.
The level of testing has been enormous.
This will kill you.
Probably you stay away.
I cannot stress enough. It will kill you.
They all seem like they're beside themselves with anxiety.
This will kill you. I cannot stress enough. It will kill you. This will kill you.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
This is cool.